Grim blood. Yeah, bruv. The game ain't hard when you got the trump card. It's all rigged and I'm calling more games than Bob Uecker. Changing the outcomes like Duke Nukem to a new future. Win some, lose some, bag some, choose none. Will the aliens come save the day? Are we going to listen to what they say? The uranium, cranium, aliens popping up like circadians. Got me spontaneously training in the Palladium gymnasium. Ultimate battle in the extraterrestrial stadium. It really just be the Mediterranean and Sylvanians. Bloodlines, overtime, dragon descendants. Scripting bread and circus lizards in attendance. Serpent queens, breaking dreams, dragging me down. The underworld royalty is all about how much you can clown. I'm talking about the number 9-2. If you didn't know, well now you do. Numerous fears, what's in the hearse? I am who I am, man with a plan. Where you at with the rebellion? One in a million.
What's up, everybody? Hey, Maggie. Hey, Betty. Can you guys hear me?
Well done to the skeleton. No time for the bellion. Strawman led by
Free Spirit, what's up?
Everyone's worked up, waiting for the aliens. Problem, reaction, solution, little contribution. The script tells that they cast spells like nuclear fusion, spreading confusion, lie distribution.
Thank you, Coded.
Some new shit.
Cranium, aliens popping up like circadians. Got me spontaneously training in the Palladium gymnasium. Ultimate battle in the extraterrestrial stadium. It really just be the Mediterranean.
Happy Tuesday, y'all.
The uranium, cranium, aliens popping up like circadians. Got me spontaneously training in the Palladium gymnasium. Ultimate battle in the extraterrestrial stadium. It really just be the Mediterranean Transylvanians. Will the aliens come save the day? Are we gonna listen to what they say?
Welcome back, ballers, to another episode of Eye to Eye with AJ, Rambo, and KODI. Episode 62. My goodness, July 28th, 2026. Hope everybody is doing well. First and foremost, Rambo, mic check. Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, brother. I know that you're on the move a little bit, so the camera might be a little difficult to manage today, but appreciate you hopping on as always, Rambo. Thank you so much.
Yo, thank you.
And thank you to everybody in the chat. Jake Williams, what's up? Mr. S, saying hello to Maggie and Betty and the crew. Good to see everybody. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Really, really appreciate it. Coded Dog says that Japan had an earthquake today on the anniversary of World War I. Huh. Interesting. Okay. Maybe we'll look into that in a little bit. Before we do so, KODI most likely will trickle in at some point when he can, as we know, you guys, because of the time changes and where he's at. It's always a big sacrifice he needs to make to join the show. So, KODI, we look forward to seeing you when you jump in. Quick intro. My name is AJ, Balll Don't Lie, 3 L's in Ball. You guys can find all of my work here on YouTube, where we're streaming from tonight, as well as on my Instagram page. Please make sure to give me a follow at Balll Don't Lie, 3 L's in Ball. Also working on a few upcoming projects. Not sure how long they'll take, but I have a slew of different projects I've worked on over the years. More than happy to share that with anybody for free. I can send it to you electronically. Send me an email at wordplaybook, 3 O's in book at gmail.com. I also have a Patreon. Link is in the description of the video as well for anybody interested in sports leans and notes and things like that. Rambo, please let the viewers know where they can find you and support you, my friend.
Yeah, thanks. This is where I can be found, patreon.com/thetruthcodes. There's only one tier. It's $5 a month tier with access to the Codebreaker community server, where you can see the other decodes of members of the Codebreaker community. And Discord, you can share images and links to videos. So it's a very effective way of sharing decodes, and you can chat one-on-one with certain individuals, if you like. And you can join patreon.com/the truth codes for free. There is some free content, and there are some videos from the past that you can see for free that are now free, from going back, maybe videos going back as far as 3 years ago. So you'll see some of the archive. And I'm also on Instagram.com/the truth codes.
You guys did not hear that incorrectly. It is $5 a month, not a day, not a week. Best $5 you guys will spend per month, guaranteed. If you guys haven't done so, yeah, of course, at least sign up for the free tier, you guys. Rambo's kind enough to share content for the free tier as well, but the $5 really does go a long way. So, and that's for everything. Like you said, the Discord, his videos, his posts, his blogs, his notes, everything. And direct access to Rambo as well. So we appreciate it, Rambo. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, we're going to dive in or kick things off tonight with one of the bigger stories this past week. We had the shooting that took place on Sunday, July 26th, at the Bite of Seattle Festival. I believe the shooting took place around 6 p.m. they were reporting, but right out the gate, you know, when I saw a story like this, made me just start thinking about, you know, from a sports lens. Well, interesting, Seattle won the Super Bowl. You just had the New York Knicks, aka the Big Apple, just win the NBA Finals. And just the name of the festival, right? Bite of Seattle sounds a bit like Bite of the Apple, if you ask me. Maybe with a lisp there. And then it just got me thinking more biblically related, scripturally, so to speak. Made me think of, you know, the story of Adam and Eve and the serpent, and essentially the tree of life and the tree of knowledge of good and evil. So all of those kinds of things came to my mind when I saw this story break on Sunday. And I got to work looking at a couple things, and I thought I'd share. For one, you know, as I always do with pretty much any decode, you got to take a look at the founding dates, birthdays, death dates, etc. And sure enough, this shooting took place exactly 129 days before the founding date of the city of Seattle, which matters because tree of knowledge of good and evil equals 129 in reverse reduction. For those that don't know, it really does stem back to Genesis 3:22. We've talked a lot about 3:22 and Skull and Bones, and what do you have it? This shooting also took place 322 days before the 1-year anniversary of when the Knicks, aka New York, aka the Big Apple, won the championship this past year. But in Genesis 3:22, it reads, "And the Lord God said, the man has now become like one of us, knowing good and evil. He must not be allowed to reach out his hand and take also from the tree of life and eat and live forever." And Rambo's touched a lot on 3:22, Skull and Bones, how, you know, Rambo, I don't know if you want to just chime in here just as a quick refresher, but, you know, Skull and Bones essentially representing 2/3 of the Trinity, right? Heart or emotion is what's removed from the Skull and Bones signia, right?
Yeah, so yeah, the Skull and Bones insignia, it goes back, I don't know where the actual origin is. Some say that the origin was with the Knights Templar. When the Knights Templar were excommunicated from the Catholic Church, they no longer could exist anywhere on the continent of Europe, and they had to be forced to take to the seas because they were excommunicated. They were going to be not just captured, imprisoned, and killed, but tortured once they were. And that happened after the Knights Templar came back from Jerusalem, where they are said to have uncovered a major secret, which gave them, you know, wealth and, I don't know, just to put it in a modern metaphor, maybe methods to manipulate the matrix, you could say. But they came across some powerful knowledge, as the legend goes, the Knights Templar. And what the Catholic Church wanted was to get in on the action as well. Could you share your knowledge with us? And the Knights Templar said, no, it's a secret with them. They're a secret order, and they did not share it with the Catholic Church. And so the Catholic Church came up with all these horrific accusations of what they did. Like, the real reason they came up with that is because they were not allowed to be in on the action. So the Knights Templar, famously, Jacques de Molay was burnt at the stake. That's when Friday the 13th became cursed, because it was on a Friday. It was on the 13th, and he cursed that day. But he this is the legend goes that Jacques de Molay, he was the last Grand Master of the Knights Templar. So the Knights Templar had to take to the seas, and that's where you get the maritime law. It's from the Knights Templar, because they became seafarers, because that was the safest place for them. They could not exist in Europe anymore, or the Middle East, because the Catholic Church, with all its power, were out to get them. And that's where they came up with the pirates, because they were considered pirates. So the term pirate meant, like, I think pyre comes from fire. And they came up with the Jolly Roger, the skull and crossbones flag of pirates. That came from the Knights Templar, because that was the only jurisdiction they had. But they also set up maritime law, which is in effect today. I guess there are very few really good authorities on it, but nonetheless, it came from the Knights Templar. And this is where Freemasonry gets it as well. It all started in Jerusalem. That's where the Knights Templar found their big secret. And in Freemasonry, the skull and bones are on the coffin of Hiram Abiff, and it could be a warning what will happen if you kill the heart. So the skull and crossbones are a incomplete trinity. It's supposed to be skull, crossbones, heart. So what you're seeing is a skull and crossbones, but no heart. You're seeing 2/3 of a trinity. The skull and bones in and of themselves are not the complete emblem. There's something missing. So the reason it's such a powerful image is for what's not there, for what's being left out, and that is the heart, which represents humanity, empathy, emotion. So the skull is thought, the crossed femur bones are action, and the heart is emotion, and the trinity is completion and balance: thought, action, emotion. So skull and bones is thought and action, but no emotion, which actually sounds like AI. AI doesn't have a soul, never will, like a human being, but it can have thought and action. And that's 2/3 of a trinity, which is 2/3. 2 divided by 3 is 0.666. So that's why one of the reasons 666 can mean many different things, but that's one of the reasons 666 can represent evil, because it's only 2/3 of a trinity. It's thought and action, but no emotion. That's the key, emotion.
Mm-hmm.
Without emotion, your thoughts and actions are just, you're sociopathic, basically. And that's what the skull and bones symbol means: incomplete trinity. Now, there are two ways you could look at it. The skull and bones, if you're a positive person, you see it as a warning. Skull and bones and no heart, it's a warning against removing the heart. And if you're more of a negative, coming from a more negative position, they're actually celebrating it. So some of them are actually celebrating it. The skull and crossbones are like, no, this is good. We're celebrating this. So yeah, there are two different ways, positive or negative, you could interpret the skull and bones. If you're negative, you think it's awesome that there's no heart. And if you're positive, you think you know that it's a warning against destroying the heart, which is the human element.
Yeah, thank you for that, Rambo. I appreciate it. I wanted to acknowledge Cody hopped in. What's up, Cody? Good to see you. Thanks for joining.
Hey, everyone. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right, cool. I'm a little bit late, but let's see. We're talking about Rambo and the Skull and Bones.
Yeah. Yeah, we stemmed it from the Bite of Seattle shooting that took place on Sunday.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And I was just talking about just some of the things that came to my mind when this story broke, thinking about, the scripture, the knowledge, or the tree of knowledge of good and evil, the tree of life, etc. So you joined not too late into the presentation, but I was just pointing out that shooting took place 129 days before the founding date of the city of Seattle, just like how Tree of Knowledge of Good and Evil equals 129. And also when you forward it to the 1 year anniversary of when New York, aka the Big Apple, won this year's NBA Finals, it's 322 days, right? So then we got to talking about the meaning of Genesis 3:22 and RAMBO's explanation of what the skull and crossbones represents.
Okay.
Yeah, and I just had a visual here just to show people, if you guys weren't aware of that connection with New York and the Apple. I mean, New York is known as the Big Apple. But sure enough, and I don't know if either of you guys were aware of this, but as I was doing a little more research, sure enough, Cooper Kupp, who was on the Super Bowl champion Seattle Seahawks team this year, during the parade, he says, "Hey, Seattle, how about them apples?" Or, "Hey, Washington." And we've talked about this in the past. I don't remember how long ago, but Washington State is known for their apples, right? So Washington and New York kind of have that apple connection directly, the two teams that have won their respective championships. Makes me think of the phrase, "the apple doesn't fall too far from the tree." Very common phrase, which happens to equal 165 in reduction. And it was, and he said, "How about them apples?" exactly 165 days before the shooting that took place in Washington, Cooper Kupp's hometown, at the Bite of Seattle Festival, you know. And then really the last one I had here was just when you take a look at the date of the Super Bowl this past year, which Seattle won, that was a span of 169 days, like how Tree of Life equals 169 in reverse, which is the 129th composite, taking us right back to the Tree of Knowledge of Good and Evil. So I thought that was really interesting, that kind of yin and yang, or that direct numerical alignment there with that story. And shout out to JM. I was going to mention that as well. Interesting enough that the Big Apple wins the championship on June 13th, and then the following day, Oliver Tree dies. So there's kind of this like apple tree connection as well. So that's kind of what I had to wet the whistle to kick things off with the stream today, but not sure if either of you guys had a chance to dive too much deeper into this particular story.
Yeah, so the word byte has a double entendre.
Mm-hmm.
Byte is also B-Y-T-E. Byte, that's a unit of storage on a computer.
Right.
Remember how I was talking, 666 ties right into this. Remember how I was saying 666 is the incomplete trinity, and how AI is it's thought and action but no emotion. And think of the price of the very first Apple computer.
Mm-hmm.
It was $666. They knew what they were doing.
And computer equals 666 in Sumerian, just like New York, right?
Yeah, internet equals 666.
Yeah, Apple computer has the byte out of the apple, literally.
Exactly. Their logo is about the Adam and Eve. That is their logo. So yeah, I just wanted to emphasize the word byte, how it's a double entendre. It can also be a computer term, B-Y-T-E, and Apple is obviously a computer reference. So I think it's a reference to AI, and at the heart of it is the lack of that element that only humans have, which is emotion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I mean, the AI thing is just kind of interesting as well, in the sense of it makes me think of Allen Iverson, Mr. AI from Philadelphia. Now you got the latest news around the same time of this story of LeBron now up in Philly.
Seattle used to be called New York, actually, and they have obviously the Super Bowl was this year, obviously won by them, but with both those teams winning, you know, Seattle and New York, it's kind of a double connection with New York, because again, they used to call it New York in the beginning, and then it's interesting that byte of Seattle equals 667 in the reverse satanic, which is technically, if you use the rule of Colel, it's 666. And we know New York equals 666. So it is interesting. You know, I didn't even really look into this story at all this week. It was something that I just kind of didn't look at, but there's definitely a lot of good observations here by you, AJ, that kind of opens up, you know, things that I could be thinking about, because it's, I also did a video this week about the AI with Elon Musk in his interview on The Economist. So there's an AI connection with this as well. So I think it might go, and I think that interview was on 723, but you could say most of the people were talking about it on 724. And in gematria, I believe Seattle, Washington equals 247, which would be the date. That would be the date the LeBron signed, I guess. So, yeah, there's a lot to talk about, I guess, with the LeBron thing is also. But yeah, that's some good observations by you.
Yeah, I appreciate it, Codes. It made me just think more too, like zooming out. You think of the apple, you think of fruit, forbidden fruit. Just makes me think of like produce and production. It almost has that kind of birth theme as well. You know, fruit being grown on trees, but then also coinciding with the whole what's this new parasite called? Cyclospora. You know, I know that apples aren't directly affected, at least right now, but you have a lot of stuff going on right now with produce, where people are scared to, you know, eat plants that they're growing out of their own backyard, kind of thing. You know, so I don't know. It just started getting me thinking more about just the tree of knowledge of good and evil, and the tree of life and produce, and this kind of common theme with apples, Washington, the apple state. Then you have the Big Apple winning. All of those kinds of things seem to be kind of floating above 2026 a little bit. But yeah, that's all I really had to kick things off. Rambo, you want me to pass things off to you? I know you had some things for us.
Yeah, I'll show my latest Instagram video. If you go to instagram.com/thetruthcodes, this is the video that I have up. So yeah, I'll just, you know, I'll get Instagram is for free. So some people have seen it, but for those who didn't, they get an idea. So from my Instagram, is my screen up there?
It's up, Rambo. We appreciate it.
Hopefully you can get the sound. You can hear. So in the beginning of the video, I say archetypes, but it sounds like architects. Just to clarify, I say archetypes.
Archetypes dictate history, mythology, and fiction, which sometimes is not really fiction, but a blueprint for life. The world is enraptured by the what are the odds coincidence, in quotations, of soccer football GOAT, greatest of all time, Lionel Messi, of Argentina meeting the future GOAT and current greatest teenage footballer of all time, Lamine Yamal, in the final of the 2026 FIFA World Cup, one of the world's grandest regularly scheduled events. After Messi was pictured bathing an infant Yamal in a randomly, quote-unquote, chosen UNICEF promotion event 19 years ago. Even mainstream American Hollywood is talking about it.
This photo is going viral. Have you seen this? You see, Messi is 39 now, but he was 20 in that photo. 39 minus 20 is 19, which is how old Lamine Yamal is now. And what number does Yamal wear? That's right, 19. What's more, this picture was taken in 2007, which was 19 years ago. And what was Messi's jersey number in 2007? That's right, 19. That's totally real, but it gets crazier because the final takes place this Sunday, July 19th.
This is the exact same archetype that informs the Lion King. Lionel Messi, lion is in his name. Lion L. Messi. Lionel Messi is Mufasa. Lamine Yamal is his son Simba. The most recent remake of The Lion King was released on July 19th in the year 19. So 1919, like Yamal and Messi both wore number 19. The World Cup final where they met was on the 7th anniversary of the release of The Lion King. There were sevens all over the place with the 7-man Korean boy band BTS at the halftime show. Number 7 scored the winning goal for Spain. But the original Lion King was released on June 24th on Lion L. Messi's birthday. That was in 1994 on Lionel Messi's 7th birthday. The lion is Leo, the sun. The tarot card numbered 19 is the sun card. The sun is exalted at 19 degrees Aries in the tropical zodiac, which is why the World Cup final pre-game show featured Post Malone and his big hit song.
Yeah, so those are my observations from my latest Instagram.
That was fantastic, Rambo. Seriously.
Yeah.
I mean, can't get much more crystal clear than that, in my opinion, when you have the Lion King connections overlapping with Messi's birthday, and then obviously all the Freemasonry stuff that, shout out to you, Cody, that he's done as well. So awesome stuff, Rambo, as always.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, so the Freemasonry aspect is right here I have this graphic because Oz Perlman, he's the magician. He's in the news now because they just had the rescheduled White House press correspondence dinner this past Friday. And so that started again. Oz Perlman was back. This time he didn't make as much of a splash, but 246, his name is, Oz, that's not his real name. Sums to 246, like the date 24th June, which is Lionel Messi's birthday. KODI has talked a lot about the fact that Oz Perlman's birthday is July 19th, the day of the final. So it's amazing, all these things that these things are seemingly unconnected. I know it's a legitimate question to ask. Okay, so what do these connections mean? Well, I mean, yeah, it's a pattern. I can't say necessarily what the patterns mean. Clearly, I mean, it's an astonishing pattern. We're just trying to basically understand this world that we live in. But these patterns are quite undeniable, how these seemingly unconnected events are so connected. So Oz Perlman's birthday. He turned 44 on the day of the final, July 19th, which is the anniversary of the release of The Lion King. And we see the archetype there of the father, son, but also the king who is replaced. It actually symbolizes a new age. You will see a lot of events in the world at this time geared around, on an esoteric level, the birth of a new age. When you see all these birth rituals, and what did you see a lot of at the World Cup? The emphasis on the babies, on the let me show you Justin Bieber. Justin Bieber performed at the halftime show, and he had this. I mean, this is disturbing. I mean, I don't. You can't. You have to be a conspiracy theory. This is kind of blocks the full image. Let me see. You don't have to be a conspiracy theorist to say.
I think that first image, top left.
Yeah, once I went to Instagram, they kind of blocked the big. See, I don't like, but you get the idea anyway.
Yeah.
I was hoping to get the full image. Nonetheless, yeah, I mean, there's a baby emphasis. There's your July 19th. They put a nice positive spin on it. I mean, yeah, the world's coming together to watch this wonderful sport. But what is this? Holding a baby over your head. In soccer, you have a throw in when the ball goes out of bounds along the length of the field. You throw the ball in with your hands from outside the touchline. This is what that looks like, actually. It looks like it looks like he's performing a soccer throw in.
Well, I was going to say, Rambo, have you thought at all about the hangman symbolism?
I did think of the baby upside down, yes.
Yeah, that kind of stood out to me, especially with kind of the break in the knee.
Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah, that's subtle. Yeah, it's very subtle. That's a really good. So, yeah, that could be, that's related to, the Hanged Man. We'll look at the Hanged Man tarot card. So what the Hanged Man has in common with all this imagery, the Hanged Man card, among very many meanings, also represents time as well. it's the pendulum of a clock, and you can see a sun ray. See all the sun symbolism?
Yeah.
How the tarot card number 19 is the sun, and they had Post Malone sing. It's huge. It's one of the biggest hits in pop history. Sunflowers before the game on the 19th, when are depicted on the number 19 tarot card in the Rider-Waite deck. The sun is exalted at 19 degrees Aries. What does exalted mean? In astrology, a planet or a planetoid, sun and moon, have domicile the sign in which they are at their strongest, at home. So for the sun, understandably, the sun is at home in Leo, the lion. You understandably why? Because that's the summer. That's when the sun is at its strongest. So the sun's home away from home. That's an expression I came up with, but I think it's a good way of explaining what exaltation means. It means when a planet or planetoid is outside of its home, outside of the place where it's at its strongest. This is another location where it's at its strongest. That's its exaltation. The sun's exaltation is at 19 degrees Aries. So 19 is about the sun. But the hangman you can see is sun related because he has that glow behind his head. It's a glow of enlightenment. This also comes from the ancient Egyptian sun clock, where they actually had a T-shaped, it's a shadow clock. And at 6 a.m., this is where the sun would be right here. In the ancient Egyptian, it's a T-shaped, it's called a shadow clock. The shadow will be right here, which indicates 6 a.m. And in French, hanged man is pendu, that means the hanged. Like the word from English from pendu is pendulum, pendulum. So that's what the hangman is. He's a pendulum, which relates to time, and the sun regulates time. So the hangman is very related to the sun imagery, and it's all about. So who's the baby? The baby is the newborn son. That's who the baby is, and you'll see that in Aleister Crowley's tarot card, which in the Rider-Waite is called Judgment. Card number 20. Aleister Crowley calls it the Aeon. Oh, this is nice and clear. Yeah, so this is the Aeon card number 20 from Aleister Crowley. But what does he have? He has the baby. That's the baby Horus. That's the newborn son. This is Ra. Ra. So they both are symbolized by a falcon head. This is the adult son. And this is the baby son at the spring equinox, the newborn son, the reborn son. And this is the adult son at the summer solstice, who is Ra. So you have Horus, Heru, and Ra is the adult. All this baby symbolism that you're seeing, it's about the age of Horus, which is what Crowley referred to, the Aeon of Horus, the Aeon, which is the coming new age, which also is related to the age of Aquarius in a different tradition. Either way, it's about the human race. I guess there's some force in the universe where there's a time of big change coming, and you can see it with technology, and you get the idea why so many things are happening right now at extreme events at such a fast pace. They're not stopping with the pandemics. If one pandemic goes away, they try to start another one. If that doesn't work, they'll try another one, and they're going to keep trying. I guess this is going to be the norm. There will be pandemics. They're trying to start Ebola now because I guess monkeypox didn't work, and all these mutations of the first one didn't quite stick. They're still going to. Hantavirus doesn't seem to have stuck. You kind of haven't heard of it. They will continue with these, as well as all the other things that are going on now. Suddenly, all these earthquakes are happening, wars. Middle East war breaks out. It's expanding all over. Lebanon's being attacked. The Ukraine war is going on. It's one thing after another. The fires, can't leave those out. Fires all over Europe, all over France, England, and the United States. This has to do with the coming of a new age. I can't say what they're You know what they're. We know they want a tech related, which is once you go tech, there's less humanity. It's a less humane age if that's what they want. But there are also forces, these natural forces in the universe that they are fighting against. I don't think it's gloom and doom because they're fighting against some forces which are more powerful than them. They're just forces that exist. You could just say the force of God. That's what they're trying to combat. But this is the imagery. So when you see all this baby imagery,
Hey, Rambo, real quick, are you bringing this up to lead into what happened today in Japan, or did you even know about this?
I know about the earthquake, but if you want to tie that in, you go ahead.
Well, but do you know what the name of the main mall was that blew up today?
No, I have no idea. No, what's it called?
Guess what it's called?
Don't do it have something to do with baby or Horus or?
No, it's called Aeon.
Oh, I'll look that up.
It's the main story today. There supposedly was an explosion after the earthquake, and the mall that blew up. If you, I don't know where in the article it will say it, but it's called the Aeon Mall Yuki, which I was actually going to talk about this a little bit when it was my time, but you were already talking about Aeon, and I had no idea that.
Well, that's good that you can tie it in. I mean, because if I continue talking, the subject will kind of change. You might as well jump in now while we're on the subject. But yeah, that's amazing. Oh, here it is, the Aeon Mall in Kumamoto Prefecture celebrated a grand opening on June 3rd. We were talking about that day, June 13th. That's when the Knicks clinched. That's also when that woman Maria was thrown off the bridge in that ridiculous bungee event.
Skeleton Bridge, right?
Skeleton Bridge, yeah, on June 13th, the anniversary of the World Cup in 2010 in South Africa, where an American tourist from Texas fell from Skeleton Gorge in South Africa in 2010, and the whole parallels was 2010. This June 13th was a big day, but yeah, the Aeon. Okay, I'll just leave it with this year. KODI, you can take it from there, since this ties perfectly into what you're going to present. I had no idea there was a mall called the Aeon, but yeah, so that's what this is about. This is a ritual for the coming age, and what they're doing is they are trying to pretty much fight God, basically, and mold the new age according to their will. That's what this is all about. It's about the becoming new age, new Aeon, the Aeon of. Now there are two new Aeons. So Aleister Crowley talked about the Aeon of Horus, and people were saying, you're evil, you're the devil, this and that. And what Aleister Crowley said is, no, the dark forces, what they want to usher in is the Aeon of Set. So the Aeon of Horus is not the evil dark one. It's the Aeon of Set. Think of the great reset. That's about the god Set, who in legend kills Osiris. And then Horus is basically the resurrected Osiris, but Set opposes Horus and Osiris. So Crowley says, no, look out for the Aeon of Set. Just real quick, I'm not sure. I think Set might sum to 19. I'm not sure. I think it's not. Set is not 19. But yeah, you can go ahead, KODI.
Yeah. So
Set is 8. 19's the 8th prime.
Oh, there you go.
You weren't that far off.
Hold on a second. I have my screen up real fast because I found some stuff. I was going to talk about this because, but then you brought this up and I was like, man, well, this is perfect. So check out how, first of all, how Horus equals 81. And 81 is the dialing code for the mall. It's plus 81 is the let me just pull it up. Plus 81 right here, the phone number. And it just so happens that so it's the Aeon Mall, and it's got the plus 81 like Horus. Now, remember, the mall is actually called, on the Wikipedia here, or on the Google, it's called Aeon Mai Yuki. And what's crazy about that I noticed earlier today was that when I typed this in, Let me refresh this real fast here. Aeon Mall Yuki equals LeBron James. Now this is pretty crazy because it's not just even in the 4 base ciphers. If you just type in LeBron James, you'll see it's actually a 5 out of 5 cipher match with the Chaldean as well, which is also important because the Chaldean doesn't always go with these. When you get a match in the 4 base ciphers, you don't always get, most of the time you do not get a match also in Chaldean. So I was like, wow, Aeon Mall Yuki equals LeBron James. And it's also got that 114, it's also equals World War in multiple ciphers. And of course, today is the anniversary, or is it today the anniversary of World War I?
I believe so.
Yeah, so let me just verify that. But World War I, start. Yep. So today is the anniversary of World War I. So you have this Mall Yuki getting blown up. It equals World War. It equals LeBron James. Now LeBron James just went to Philly. Was a big story. One of the big stories this week. And
hey, Cody, really quick, if I could just chime in since we're talking about LeBron, and you mentioned the Uki Mall here, would you mind just pulling up the Kamamoto founding date? Because whenever I think of Japan, I think of Kobe, Japan, and we know about all the Kobe connections with LeBron. So yeah,
that's where I was getting to is the connection to the to Kobe because Kumamoto.
Yeah, I think it's Kumamoto, Japan.
Founding date, you said?
Yeah. I just searched founding date. At least what I'm seeing here, it's saying April 1st, but it's also saying it depends on whether you mean the modern city, the prefecture, or the original castle site. But April 1st, it's the same founding date as Kobe, Japan, essentially. But when you measure that from April 1st, once again, that was the Artemis 2 launch date this year. It's 118 days like LeBron James's full name. Just, I wanted to throw that in there.
Well, that's a Philadelphia code too, the 118.
Oh yeah. Oh, that's right. Yep.
Which, funny enough, it's this. There's a whole bunch of stuff that I could tie together here. I'm going to wait till later to do the rest of it because I just wanted to talk about this part right now. But because I've been decoding this show called Heroes, which has the eclipse on it. It's a show from 2006, and one of my subscribers just absolutely just blew my mind, and I don't know how I missed this over the whole last week. I've been trying to figure all this out, but anyway, I'll get to that later. But all this stuff is seemingly connected, and as usual. But Mr. S also mentioned that it's the 81st NBA season coming up, so you got the 80 plus 81 mall getting blows up. Looks like a bomb went off, right? Perhaps it really was that there was a gas leak and probably what really did happen, but it did look like there was a bomb went off. Of course, when you think about Japan, you think about the bombs. And one of those places was called Hiroshima, and it's spelled Hiro. Well, the main character of Heroes is named Hiro Nakamura. And so anyway, so now that we know that Kobe, actually the tower, I didn't even put this in here, but the tower also equals 114.42. And you guys know I was talking a lot about that with the World Cup. Well, look at that. Even Chaldean, it has that match. So you got the tower, you got the World War. Now, what's crazy is Kobe scored 81 points in his 666 game. And as you mentioned, AJ, there's a Kobe Japan. And there's a very famous earthquake called the Kobe earthquake back in 1995. Well, if you use the reverse satanic cipher and you type in, they do call it this too. They call it the Kobe earthquake. Just look what the gematria is. 728. today's date.
Hmm.
So basically, you got this earthquake that's caused this thing at this mall. Now, how does this connect to what I talked about earlier this year? Earlier this year, when Kobe was passed by Bam Adebayo, I talked about the Aeon card. That's actually the only time I've ever talked about it on my channel. Earlier this year, I talked about this card, the Aeon card, because I said Kobe got passed by Bam Adebayo, and then a few weeks later, I connected it to the birthday of Pat Riley, who was basically born on, was he born on the 19th? Hold on.
Shout out to Chris, just said that Kazuma Okamoto just hit a home run.
Oh, really? Just now?
What a day to go yard.
Oh my goodness, I forgot it. I forgot this. Pat Riley turned 81 on March 20th. So, okay, so when Bam Adebayo passed Kobe's his record in the game, 81 points, Pat Riley would go on to turn 81 a few days, what date did he pass him? It was just like 11 or so days later, I think. Wasn't it 12? I don't remember. Was it the 8th that March 8th was when Bam Adebayo passed Kobe? I don't know if you guys remember, but
I don't remember. I'll check. Hold on.
It doesn't matter. The point is that Pat Riley turned 81. Okay, Horace. Now, why is that important? Because March 20th is the anniversary of Aleister Crowley doing the invocation of Horus. So, and that was 122 years after. If you go to March 20th this year, it was 22 years after the invocation of Horus. Kobe scored 81 on 122 or 122. So you see how perfect that is? Pat Riley turns 81 on the anniversary of Horus invocation. Invocation of Horus was 122 years, which is Kobe's 81-point game. And now, fast forward to today, you have this connection with and look at this. It was 126. Oh my goodness. Wow. Okay. So it was 126 days after Pat Riley's birthday that LeBron signed with Philly. What the heck? That's Kobe's death date. So anyway, I'm just finding things as I go here. But the point is that LeBron also signed with Philly 19 days before the next solar eclipse, which is the sun card. And Rambo was talking about what is Japan? Japan is the rising sun. Think about how perfect that all is. How it kind of connects perfectly with earlier this year, where I was talking about this Aeon of Horus, and now you have the Aeon Mall blowing up during an earthquake in the land of the rising sun, which is essentially, what the invocation of Horus is marking. As Rambo says, the sun is getting rising in the sky. It's getting, this is the time of the year when, as Rambo mentioned, the equinox. So there was something else I wanted to mention too that I now forgot. But Sean Desad, Widow's son, I had wrote this to him earlier, and he had mentioned that if you take Kobe's birth to today, it's also got a crazy connection, because Kobe Bryant's birth today's exactly 2501 weeks of his life if he was still alive. Guess what that is? That's the 41st pentagonal number. Kobe Bryant equals 41. So he just turned 41 pentagonal weeks old on this earthquake today. And of course, he died at 41. Kobe Bryant equals 41. But yeah, the Aeon stuff, it all connects with what I talked about earlier this year with the basketball narrative, with and don't forget, Philadelphia is Wilt Chamberlain's team. Wilt, do what thou wilt. And Wilt Chamberlain actually equals the name of Crowley's book, Liber al Vel Ligas. It's a perfect match. You see that? In all ciphers, even Chaldean. So why is LeBron going to Philly now? After I talked about this earlier this year with Wilt Chamberlain and the Aeon, and now you have a mall that equals LeBron James blowing up in the land of the rising sun.
Well, and the Chamberlain last name connecting back to Kobe with the Chamberlain Heights helicopter cartoon and all that.
But yeah, so that's all I'm going to say right now, because I'll let Rambo get back. But the point is, there's probably more I even missed. Maybe Rambo even saw something, or one of you guys in the chat, just drop it in the chat if you guys saw something. But it's just crazy how it ended up manifesting today. Even what I talked about earlier this year, and let's not forget,
we have 81 viewers right now.
Yeah, I see that. Let's not forget too that with the baby stuff going on, LeBron signed on the anniversary of King James becoming king as a baby.
Right.
So King James becoming king of Scotland, which is just so obvious. I mean, how much more obvious this stuff get, man? King James, king of Scotland on July 29th, 1567, at 13 months old. So with all the baby stuff, it's just crazy that
I think this was the formal date, by the way, Cody, just the 29th, because I think the 24th was the date that it was announced. And
I didn't even notice the date said the 29th, but hold on.
Yeah, because I know exactly what you're referencing, because they said that.
Here.
Yeah. I just wanted to clear the air on that.
But yeah, I mean, how mind-blowing is that, considering, I don't know if Rambo was, I hope I didn't steal Rambo's thunder on this, because I know he was going to talk about more of the baby stuff, I think, but yeah, I mean, King James, LeBron James signs on the day that King James became king as a baby, right after Yamal had all this baby stuff in the World Cup, so that's all I got for now.
No, that's okay. Those are great additions. Even if you do say something I was going to say, that's fine. I mean, we're sharing ideas. I kind of expect that, but no, that was great connections. Amazing. I didn't even look at that. I didn't know about the Aeon, but I've been just noticing. I know what this is about. These rituals you're doing now. It's about the New Age, and sorry.
Whoops.
Oh, it's okay.
Sorry, AJ. I was taking my screen down, and you clicked it right at the same time.
It's all good. I was flipping it back to Rambo.
Yeah, so this goes to what KODI was talking about in my video. This picture, taken back in 2007, of Lamine Yamal, which, I mean, I'm a soccer fan and stuff. I'm just astonished that Americans mainstream now. The name Lamine Yamal is mainstream in the United States. That's pretty mind blowing for me. That's just, it's something that's just so foreign to Americans. Now it's household, but that's the importance. They're going to keep pushing him now to the American public. But this is what this picture symbolizes. He's Horus. He's the newborn sun. Red and yellow are the colors of the sun. Those are the colors of the flag of Spain. The thing about this picture, it looks as if, and they know this, Lionel Messi, it looks as if Lionel Messi is his father. It really looks that way. And they're doing it deliberately. That's the image. All right, so those in the know, I mean, they get the story. His parents, they moved to Barcelona, and he was born there. And what are the odds now? He's already Lamine Yamal, the most accomplished teenager in the history of soccer. He just turned 19, so he hasn't even turned 20 yet. By the time he turns 20, I mean, Messi didn't come close to this. I mean, Pele did win a World Cup, but he didn't have the total number of games and accomplishment. He's already But it shows you they can choose these things. But this is what this represents. It's Osiris, Isis, and Horus is who they represent. And Lionel Messi is actually made to look like his father. He even looks, he's lighter skinned. His father is actually from Morocco, North Africa. So he's lighter skinned. I mean, he's not like Messi's of Italian and Spanish origin. But yeah, he's supposed to be Osiris, the newborn son. That's what this is. He's the new age, the age of Horus. I mean, there's the age of Set. So that's something else. At least some of them want to bring in. It's also the age of Aquarius. This World Cup is all about water. That is hydration breaks, which they've never had before. So water was the theme. That's the man with the water pitcher is the symbol of Aquarius, Aqua, Aquarius. So there are two ways to look at it. It's either the age of Aquarius or the age of Horus, or if you want to be really dark and evil and you don't like humans, the age of Set. But yeah, it's just interesting that Oz Perlman. So what I wanted to talk about also was the White House Correspondents' Dinner, which was very eventful when it was initially scheduled. It was at the Hilton Hotel in Washington, D.C., where they had the purported assassination attempt of Donald Trump by Cole Thomas Allen, which I decoded at length. That was interrupted. That's when Oz Perlman became, another level of fame because he was performing. And also, if you see the image of the original, and even the following one, just the way they have the table, it's a long table, and so it's not like a regular table where people are sat at the table facing each other. No, it's one long table with everybody on one side of the table and Donald Trump in the middle. What is that image? That's the image of the Last Supper. And where was the Last Supper held? It was held in the house of the man with the water pitcher. The Last Supper is about the age of Aquarius. When Jesus says, when his disciples ask him, where should we meet you? Because he said, you have to meet me for this is going to be our final gathering. You're not going to see me anymore. I'll depart after that. And he tells them, go into the city. There you will see a man bearing a pitcher of water. Follow him into the house that he enters. The man bearing the pitcher of water is the symbol of Aquarius. And so even at this White House Correspondents' Dinner, you had the Last Supper image with Donald Trump in the middle. Sometimes he's portrayed as the Christ, sometimes he's portrayed as the Antichrist, but this is what they do with celebrities. But the broader ritual is the age of Aquarius, is what Jesus was saying. He's basically saying, I will. So when Jesus was born, that was the beginning of the age of Pisces. So he's the messenger. He brings in the transition. That's the archetype of the messenger God, who is a much older archetype, is that of many of them Zoroaster. The three wise men who knew of Jesus' birth, they were Zoroastrians. They were Magi. Magi are Zoroastrian high priests. How come Zoroastrians were given the knowledge of the birth of Jesus? They were Magi. They're from the East. They weren't Hebrew. Isn't that interesting that knowledge was given to Zoroastrians? Because that's who Magi are. They're Zoroastrian high priests. But from Magi, you get magician. And that's so Oz Perlman, he was fulfilling that role of the Magi, the magician at the Last Supper. The Last Supper is, that's when the messenger who ushers in the new age is going to depart because he's done his job. He ushered in the age of Pisces. And what he's telling you is when the age of Aquarius is to begin, that's when I'll come back to usher that in. Whatever that means, whatever form that takes, that's what the symbolism is. And that's the role of the messenger God, which existed long before Christianity. The Good Shepherd was a moniker for Hermes. Hermes was pictured with a sheep or a ram on his shoulders. Then Christianity adopted that and depicted Jesus with a sheep or a ram around his shoulders. That comes from Hermes, who the Romans called Mercury, which existed long before Christianity did. And Hermes had the title the Good Shepherd, as did Mercury. but that's the archetype. And Cole Thomas Allen. So this past Friday, they say Cole Thomas Allen made the assassination attempt. He was nowhere near the place. And Donald Trump, sorry, I hope that might have been a Freudian slip. Donald Trump, he joked about it. Yeah. I didn't mean to say that. He joked about you could tell, like, wait, this is the attempted assassination of the president of the United States, and he's joking about it. Even when they gathered together afterwards in the White House, they're all smiling. Caroline Leavitt and J.D. Vance and all his immediate members of the cabinet, they're all, you see, they're all in high spirits and laughing and smiling. But, we understand that. I mean, they're not turning up tables saying, oh my God, the third attempt on the president of the United States, what's going on here? Like, you really need to be, where are the hearings? Where are the commissions? It was like, after a president's assassinated or a major event, there's a committee, where they have all these witnesses and they look into it. Now, none of that. You forget it ever happened. It's old news in 2 weeks. It tells you how serious these are. These are rituals more than anything else. But I thought I'd revisit this Cole Thomas Allen thing because of Friday's rescheduled press correspondence dinner. And this is Cole Thomas Allen. And there's some very interesting coding with that. There's also a lot of football references, I noticed, with that whole situation of the White House press correspondence dinner, because Oz Perlman is very well known for performing specifically for football teams, NFL teams. Even if you go to his page, if you go to Earl, they actually will stress Perlman, also known as Oz the Mentalist, is an Israeli-American mentalist, author, magician, and long-distance runner of marathons and ultramarathons. He's best known for minor media appearances, performing mentalism, magic tricks for sports teams. So he's tied into sports for some reason, specifically, including the Dallas Cowboys, New York Jets, Green Bay Packers, and the Los Angeles Lakers. It's a lot more than this. So this is just to illustrate how Oz Perlman is directly related to sports, because that seems to be his claim to fame, is blowing the minds of athletes in particular. And so this is what Trump said after the first White House, when they had to cut it short because of the alleged assassination attempt. It's a headline from People magazine. Trump says NFL should sign White House Correspondents' Dinner shooting suspect after he ran like this is what Trump said, running back to breach security. So what Donald Trump said is he was laughing and admiring the speed and athleticism of his would-be assassin, and says he should be in the NFL. He should be a running back. So yeah, that's how seriously we should take this.
Yeah.
Trump, the person's life was in danger. Is just laughing, as is his staff. But there's this NFL connection. So, I mean, I haven't looked too much into it. There is an NFL connection. I don't know if it has some bearing on the upcoming season. But when I think of a running back in the NFL and his name, Cole Thomas Allen, well, the first name that comes to mind for me is Marcus Allen. He was actually good friends with O.J. Simpson. He came up during that. I think he had to testify a little bit just from, he wasn't that heavily involved. It's almost just by association. They talked to everybody. But again, these are also part of, when you're part of the club and these things happen, you're made to be part of it. He's connected just because of his friendship with O.J. Simpson. But when I think of Allen and running back, which Trump alluded to, I think of Marcus Allen, who was, just to give an idea, Marcus Lamar Allen, an American former professional football running back who played for the National Football League for 16 seasons, primarily with the Los Angeles Raiders. The Raiders look like a team that's destined, like they're about to give the Raiders something. I'm not saying next season, but you do get the impression with Tom Brady getting them, and now this new quarterback Mendoza, first pick. You you kind of get a feeling with the Raiders. You know? Speaking of skull and bones.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah.
Especially with Mendoza cracking his own jokes about Skull and Bones on the Pat McAfee show.
Yeah, we're just talking about Skull and Bones. So this, because of what Trump said, to me these look like clues. Running back, NFL, and the guy's name is Allen. Well, when I think of running back, NFL Allen, well, there's only one. It's Marcus Allen, and he played for the Raiders. I'm thinking, wow, the Raiders, maybe not this season. Or maybe, who knows? The New England Patriots got the Super Bowl. I'm not advising anyone, but probably not this season. But you do get a sense of the Raiders. They've got some gifts for them in the future, in the near future. So he played primarily with the Raiders, considered one of the greatest goal line and short yard runners in NFL history. So he's a major, he's not an obscure running back. And he ended his career with the Kansas City Chiefs as well. So I'm not connecting dots beyond this. I'm just saying I think there might be more to these connections with Trump talking about, which is ridiculous on the surface. That's why I think they're clues there. No one's about to be killed, makes jokes about your assassin and NFL. And it's emphasis with Oz Perlman with the NFL for some reason. And his birthday is also interesting, the March 26th. Several things have happened on March 26th. But so his name, Allen, again, so they didn't mention this because in the Wikipedia page for Oz Perlman, but one of the teams where he's most famous for performing with is the Buffalo Bills. That's actually the clip, I think, that is the most prominent of all Oz Perlman's associations with professional teams. It's the one with the Buffalo Bills. And it was Josh Allen was the one who was really mind blown. And I got this is from it's a website, a sports website, where they show Josh Allen, quarterback of the Buffalo Bills. Interesting, the connection, Buffalo Bills, that's O.J. Simpson's team. O.J. Simpson's best friend is Marcus Allen. I don't know if it's best from one of his closest friends. But Allen, there's that name again. So I'm just wondering, through the name, there's a connection, and Trump is making a connection with the NFL. So I think there might be something here with the emphasis on Allen. But after the first event at the White House press correspondence dinner, the Trump administration used that event to justify the ballroom, the White House ballroom, the controversial project, which at the time, I don't know what the latest is on it, but a federal judge stopped the construction for the White House ballroom. They already brought down the East Wing. It's already been demolished, and they were starting to build a foundation for the ballroom. But a judge put a stop to the construction project. And so Trump's administration used the Cole Thomas Allen incident to say that, you see, future events like this should be held in a more secure environment, such as a ballroom. That would have been in the White House. There's no way he would have breached security there. So that's the justification they were using. It was tied into the ballroom. So I'm looking at, so it's all about that ballroom. And looking into the ballroom, people say it's Trump's ballroom and Trump's idea to demolish the East Wing and turn it into a ballroom. Is it Trump's idea? No, he's a figurehead. He's in the Hollywood Hall of Fame. He's on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, and he's in the WWE Hall of Fame. He's an actor, literally. Before he became president for the last, 14 years or so, he wasn't a governor. He wasn't a vice president. He wasn't a senator. He was an actor. He was on primetime television on an award-winning show, The Apprentice, on primetime Sunday night. That's what he was doing for like 15 years before becoming president. He's an actor. He doesn't really have that much power. Well, we know who's really behind building the ballroom. It's 37 donors, corporate donors. There are actually more than 37, but at least 37 officially corporate donors for the 300 million ballroom. And it's mostly tech giants as well as others. That's who wants the ballroom, not Donald Trump. They told Donald Trump, we want a ballroom. Donald Trump says, yes, yes, sir. He bows to them. It's not Trump's idea. He doesn't have that much power. They do. These tech giants. So I'm just looking at the name. So his name it's coded into the names of the donors for the ballroom. Cole Thomas Allen. So look at 3 of the donors. The first, so what is coal? Coal is a sedimentary rock, right? What is coal? It's literally a black rock. That's what coal is. That's his first name, Cole. One of the donors is, well, it's BlackRock. Well, this is another Hard Rock International, which is related, but also BlackRock is one of the donors, which describes coal, as does Hard Rock as well.
Was it the college football championship held at Hard Rock Stadium this year?
I don't know. That could be part of it. There's a lot going on. A lot of World Cup games were there. Like, there's so much going on at that location in Miami. Like, it's all going on there. I don't know. Yeah.
Sorry, I don't want to interrupt.
No, that's okay. That's fine. Is that a? I don't know if you confirm that's where it was held, but so that's
pulling it up right now.
Yeah.
Let's see. Yeah, we know it was in Hard Rock Stadium in Miami Gardens.
Yeah, which is what coal is. A Hard Rock, but it's also a Black Rock. Black Rock is also one of those involved. And his middle name is Cole Thomas Allen. What does Thomas mean? The name
Twin.
Thomas means twin. It comes from an ancient Aramaic word, Taoma. It's a classic boy's name with deep historical roots. So Thomas means twin. So where are the twins in the donors? The Winklevoss twins, Cameron Winklevoss and Tyler Winklevoss. They're twins. They're big in the crypto field. The co-founder of crypto platform Gemini. Now they're not Geminis, but the symbol for Gemini, zodiac sign, is twins. Gemini is ruled by Mercury. Mercury also rules the realm of money, merchant, commerce, MERC. So Mercury also is related to that as well. But the Winklevoss twins, Tyler and Cameron, they are donors for the ballroom, and that's where you get the name Thomas. So you have BlackRock, which is Cole Thomas, and the other one is straightforward, Booz Allen Hamilton. So there's your Cole Thomas Allen. It was coded into the real power behind the decision to build the ballroom. It's the donors. They're telling you.
And shout out to Sally and Older Bones for just pointing out that the Trump's first fake attempt, Crooks, he was in a BlackRock commercial. I'm not sure.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, great. Yeah, great. That's a great connection. Absolutely. Yeah, Crooks. Yeah, Thomas Matthew Crooks was in the BlackRock. Yeah, there you go.
Another Thomas.
Yeah, and another Thomas. Yeah, so you have the BlackRock, you have the Cole, and you have the Thomas. yeah. So yeah, great connection. So that's coded into his name. So you wonder, that's not a coincidence. There are other connections with him. I've done decodes with him where he's from, the area of California where he's from. It's related to Jack Parsons and his associate Marjorie Cameron, who took place in his Babylon working ritual, which was to usher in the Antichrist. And Aleister Crowley Chast, well, he wrote a letter critical of the Babylon working ritual by Jack Parsons, and he dated it for the very day that Donald Trump was born. So it's amazing how it all ties in. And Marjorie Cameron, she played the role of the Scarlet Woman in that ritual. Marjorie Cameron, the initials MC, Moonchild. And she actually, it's a little off topic, but it is related to all that's going on. Marjorie Cameron, which I'm wondering about the origins of, oh yeah, and think of the name Cameron Winklevoss, one of the Winklevoss twins. So she was part of Crowley's Thelema, a follower of Thelema, a new religious movement established by English occultist Aleister Crowley. She was married to rocket pioneer and fellow Thelemite Jack Parsons. And they did the sex magic rituals called Babylon working. The horoscope we're talking about. So she moved to Beaumont, California. That's actually where I've done other decodes on it, but Cole Thomas Allen, he's from that area, and he worked for JPL, Jet Propulsion Labs, which is covertly Jack Parsons Labs. He worked for JPL. I mean, it's amazing, these stories, the details of it. There is a Jack Parsons connection, but Beaumont, he's from that area where she moved to. And look, she established a multiracial occult group called The Children. Again, the baby theme, the child theme, which dedicated itself to sex magic rituals with the intent of producing mixed race moon children who would be devoted to the god Horus. Well, Cole Thomas Allen just happens to be mixed race from the Beaumont area. This is not proof of anything. Is he? Yeah, so they'll say, well, she's gone and this cult doesn't exist. Okay, but it does. There's a lot that ties into these elements that are manifesting now. Mixed race from the area where Marjorie Cameron started this cult, where they're trying to bring in moon children. Her nation.
I was going to say what Mr. S pointed out here, just that Cameron died on July 24th as well, another date that we just recently talked about. That was last Friday.
That is a great observation. That's the date of the White House, the rescheduled press correspondence dinner. That's a great observation. That's another.
There you go.
Yeah, that's great observation. Nice one. But you see, we just stumble on these things. There's so many elements that you stumble on them. I didn't even know. I didn't even think to look at Marjorie Cameron's death date. Mm-hmm. But yes, that's the anniversary of the rescheduled White House Correspondents' Dinner, which was this past Friday. It was July 24th. Now I see it most likely does tie into Marjorie Cameron, which makes you wonder. Again, she started this cult of mixed race children. We're talking about all the Horus symbol. It was in Beaumont. He's from that area. He worked for JPL, whom Jack Parsons co-founded. It's unofficially Jack Parsons Labs. Officially, it's Jet Propulsion Lab, but unofficially, it's Jack Parsons Lab. That was Marjorie Cameron's husband. And now a mixed race person from that area who worked for JPL is connected to the White House Press Correspondents' Dinner, which is then held on the anniversary of the death of Marjorie Cameron. And we talk about Jack Parsons' the connection to Aleister Crowley and Donald Trump's birthday. I mean, it's all tied in. It's a conspiracy theory. These elements speak for themselves. Are they proof of anything? It's amazing how well all these elements fit into place. We're even seeing things. We're stumbling on things like this.
Right.
July 24th. I don't think that date, I'm pretty sure that this scheduled date was part of the whole grand ritual to begin with. We are going to reschedule it for July 24th. And so the emphasis on children, babies. If you'll remember, at the first White House Correspondents' Dinner, his press secretary, Caroline Leavitt, was due at any moment. She was pregnant and she was due at any moment. She actually
to the baby themes too, right? Shout out to Cody, him pointing out that the 24th was also, last Friday, the announced date of LeBron going to the Sixers, but also the same date that King James, as a baby, became king. Right. So.
Oh, King James. Oh, yeah. That's another baby with July 4th. Yeah. So July 24th. Right. So it's good to look at the overall picture of all these things that are happening. They look like individual rituals. There's always an overarching ritual, which they're all connected to. And this is the new age, the onset of a new age. What Crowley would call the Aeon of Horus. That's the overarching ritual, which they're all connected to. But again, Marjorie Cameron, MC, Moonchild. So his name was quoted into the names of the donors. So I also decoded the location of the rescheduled correspondence dinner. which was the well, it used to be called the Old Post Office and Clock Tower, but it's now the Waldorf Astoria in Washington, D.C. That's where he had the second rescheduled one. But it used to be called the Old Post Office and Clock Tower. Now it's the Waldorf Astoria. Astoria is also the name of a neighborhood in the New York borough, Donald Trump's home New York borough, New York City borough. New York City has 5 boroughs, like Manhattan, Brooklyn, Bronx, Queens, Staten Island. Donald Trump is from Queens. Astoria is a neighborhood in Queens. There's that connection to Trump there, but the Waldorf Astoria used to be a Trump hotel. Donald Trump actually used to own this as a hotel, but like many of his businesses, they went under. And it has another owner now. But it's the clock tower, and you see how that connects to Donald Trump through Back to the Future. So this is where they had the rescheduled one, the Old Post Office Clock Tower. When you think of clock tower, what do you think of? Back to the Future? Well, this is not just me, but mainstream media themselves. I've talked about this at length. They associated Donald Trump with Back to the Future. There were other Donald Trump connections, but I was just about to leave a supermarket, and I actually saw this newspaper sitting there on the rack. I couldn't believe it. This looks like something I would title. A picture of Donald Trump and Back to the Future. It's like something from my decodes, honestly. But there's a mainstream media saying, yes, Donald Trump, Back to the Future. So they're making that connection. So when you think of Trump Clock Tower, that's what the location before Waldorf Astoria is, the clock tower. And how that ties into the first assassination attempt is it was added to the National Registry of Historic Places on April 11th in 1973. April 11th is the birthday of Cole Thomas Allen. He was born April 11th. When the incident was...
That's also Aleister Crowley's birthday.
No, I don't think... No, he wasn't born on April 11th. He was born...
Oh, no. So, sorry, not Crowley. No, Anton LaVey.
Anton LaVey. Okay.
Yeah, LaVey.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
Brain fart.
LaVey. Yeah, that's all right. But they tie together. So it's how these are all related, because this is the date that the location of the rescheduled event, April 11th, is the date that it was added to the Registry of Historic Places. But it was rescheduled because of Cole Thomas Allen, whose birthday is April 11th. But Cole Thomas Allen's initial event was at the Hilton in DC, which is the same location of the attempted assassination of Ronald Reagan. And Ronald Reagan returned to office after that assassination on April 11th. So it's 3 things that are related: the location of the first press correspondence dinner and purported assassination attempt. April 11th is when Reagan came back to office. April 11th is Cole Thomas Hamilton's birthday. April 11th is the day that the new location was added to the registry. I actually just added this while KODI was talking, because he brought up the tower. How the tower is 114. And that ties right into this. The clock tower and Donald Trump. I have more stuff, but KODI can do some of his presentation. I've actually taken up a lot of time so far. But this April 11th synchronicity and Allen and the donors, and again, the overarching Aeon of Horus, is all tied together.
Yeah, hey, KODI, you out there?
Yeah, I'm here. Yeah, it's just, I mean, once again, thanks, Rambo, for all your great connections and just putting a lot of these pieces together with all these events, being tied. It just, it's crazy that all this stuff ties together so well always. Like you said, it's like seemingly unconnected events. But everything, when you start to look at it from more outer view, you start to see how all the stuff that's happening is connected, especially just in general of all the stuff that, and I what was funny was I just, like, right before I came back on here, I just logged into my crypto app because you had mentioned the crypto,
The Winklevoss twins.
yeah, and I just logged into my crypto app that I use. It's not their app. It's not Gemini. It's just the one I use when I check my prices and stuff. And you won't believe the top gaining crypto on the app today. It's called Aeon.
Oh my God, dude. I was about to guess that jokingly.
No, look. So look at this. On July 27th, so just yesterday, Aeon launched trading pairs across top-tier exchanges, BitGet, OKX, and KuCoin, sparking a 16,000% surge in volume. What the heck?
Dude.
I mean, okay, people don't want to take crypto seriously, but a lot of stuff that's happening is really tied to crypto. Like, I'm always watching crypto. Like, people have no idea how much a lot of these rituals on the world stage are actually tied to financial things. In fact, if people just focused on financial things, they would probably see that a lot of the main stories that happen on the world stage are just financial riddles for cryptos that are about ready to launch or explode, or stocks that are about ready to fall or go up, or financial stuff. In fact, think about Japan, guys. Japan has the Bank of Japan. And the theory is that the Bank of Japan could, at some point, cause a massive collapse in markets. And Japan is highly connected to a lot of stuff I cover with XRP and all kinds of things. Like, so the fact that we have this Aeon Mall blowing up today, and the top gaining crypto on my app when I logged in just now was this crypto, like, and I don't know if they actually really just launched. It seems like they did.
I mean, that's unbelievable to me.
I mean,
it's not like it was pre-rehearsed. I mean, RAMBO to transition from the tarot card to the Crowley tarot card, talking about the Aeon. Like, it's called the Aeon card, right, RAMBO? Aeon?
Yeah, it's called the Aeon. In the Rider-Waite deck, it's called Judgment, but it's card number 20, the Aeon. Some people pronounce it Eon, but I say Aeon. I don't know if that's the right pronunciation. I say Aeon. Some people say Eon, but yeah, it's card number 20.
Let me just see if it's not even the same one, but Eon. Let's see. Yeah, so I guess they've been around. Wait, yeah, so it's literally just launched. So it is true. It just launched on CoinMarketCap. So just yesterday, right? So guys, right before the Aeon Mall is in the news blowing up, this crypto launches. Like, and I'm not saying invest in this, guys. No, don't touch this. It's a new coin, and it's at 9 cents, and it has a $1 billion supply, which is absolutely. This is not safe. So that's not what I'm recommending you guys do. This coin will probably go down after this. Eventually it might go up, but I'm not saying now is a good time to invest. Definitely not. But the point is, why is there this coin on the top of my list as I log in? I had no plan to talk about the Aeon when I got on this stream today. I mean, I didn't even notice that the whole thing was tied. I knew about the Aeon Mall, but I didn't have a lot of research on it. But as soon as RAMBO mentioned like the Aeon stuff and the connection with the Horus, and then I realized it was tied to LeBron James and Kobe, which connects back to earlier this year where I talked about, again, how perfect the Bam Adebayo passing Kobe was connected to Crowley and eventually the invocation of Horus, which again is on Pat Riley's birthday. And Pat Riley just happened to turn 81. And now And then check this out. So from Pat Riley's 81st birthday, which again is the gematria of Horus, to today's Aeon Mall, 130 days. That's the gematria of sun, moon, but it's also the gematria of rising sun. So think about it. Land of the rising sun. 130 days after the invocation of Horus, Pat Riley's 81st birthday, you get this Aeon Mall, rising sun 130, also equals Kobe Bryant, 113. So yeah, there's definitely something going on with this, and I'm gonna probably have to go back and really look at this now, especially this Aeon stuff. And remember, I tied this to Barron Trump because that's Barron Trump's birthday. And how old did Barron Trump turn on that day? 20. And what's the Aeon card? 20. So think about it. I mean, it's just the perfect. Barron Trump turns 20, the number of the Aeon card. Pat Riley turns 81, which is the gematria of Horus. That's on the anniversary of the invocation of Horus, which was. But check this out. So today is actually a really big day to have an earthquake, because one of the biggest earthquakes in history happened today. Actually, the biggest, the deadliest earthquake in recorded history happened 50 years ago today. And now you have another earthquake on this day. And so let me just type in what's it called again? The Tangshan earthquake. Tangshan earthquake. And look at the year, and look at the I mean, come on now. I didn't even notice this earlier. Look at the year of the earthquake, 76, and it was a 7.6. And I'm tying this to Kobe and LeBron just going to the 76ers. I mean, come on now. So Kobe's born with 130 days left in the year. That's a good one too, somebody said. It's another good one. But yeah, I mean, so this earthquake happened 50 years ago today. And again, if you read, it's officially counted at 242,469 deaths. And historians accepted at least 300,000, making it the deadliest earthquake in recorded history. So basically, today is the anniversary of that, and now you have another earthquake on today. So today is a very big earthquake day. But what makes this more mind-blowing, to connect this back to everything else that I've been talking about, is today has 81 date numerology, which again is Horus. The 81 dialing, plus 81 is the dialing code for the mall. It also has 27 Horus. Actually, Horus equals 27 in 2 ciphers. He also equals 54 like Sun. But look at this. It's 27 in 2 ciphers. Today also has 27 date numerology. So 81 and 27, that's the gematria of Horus. Now, on top of that, today is the 81st anniversary. And this is why I love this tool. And I keep recommending people at least try it out, because you see how I have my events here. I can have a day up and I can see everything that's happened. And I would miss so many things now if I didn't have this. Today is the 81st anniversary of the B-25 crashing into the Empire State Building. On 81 date numerology today, right? And so why is that relevant? Because I've kind of been on the back burner of doing a video about this, but and Rambo's already touched on this stuff, but the Empire stuff. We just had, and this even ties into my hero stuff. Like a subscriber just told me something. So for the last week or so, I've been decoding this show Heroes, and it all takes place in New York mostly, a lot of it. I mean, and Texas, but it has a Japan reference, and the guy's name in the show is called Hiro Nakamura. He's a time traveler, right? That's his power. But the eclipse is what sets off the powers. In the show, the very first episode, the eclipse is what triggers their powers to become active. in their DNA. It's a DNA upgrade. Now, considering that I was just decoding all of this. Now, why was I decoding this? Because I had noticed that Netflix had added Heroes back to their platform on July 1st. After 10 years of not being, again, the show was from 2006 to 2010, but they had just happened to add it back this month, right? So I thought I was crazy at first because I was like, okay, is this really relevant? Is this show really connected to what's going on right now? And but it turns out it was, because remember, Heroes came on July 1st, and 7 days later, Total Eclipse of the Heart singer died, and she also is famous for singing "Holding Out for a Hero." I mean, come on now. "Holding Out for a Hero" and "Total Eclipse of the Heart" are her two famous songs. The whole show is about heroes and an eclipse, essentially. But she actually even died on the main character's birthday, the actor. He's like the main character. He's not, I wouldn't say he's, I mean, in this show, there's kind of like a lot of main characters, but, you know, he's one of the main. So it was his birthday. But then I realized, thanks to Sean Desad, but remember the Ring actress just died last month, DeVay Chase. And the ring is obviously an eclipse symbolism, but remember, Bonnie Tyler died 7 days after this show came back. And, well, in the Ring, you have 7 days to live after you see the tape. So why did she die 7 days after Heroes came back, right? Now, who climbed the Empire State Building on 7/1? Those two people. And I told you that in New York, the show takes place in New York. In fact, the last episode of season 1 is called "How to Stop an Exploding Man." And in that episode, this guy who I just brought up here, whose birthday was the day that Bonnie Tyler died, the actor who plays him, his character blows up in New York. Now, I'm not going to share what my subscriber shared with me earlier because I haven't put it in slides and I really want to save it for later. But what my subscriber shared to me about this date and how it connects to the eclipse code is absolutely mind-blowing. And how I decoded this show for a whole 2 weeks almost and missed this. And then all it took is one subscriber to notice one thing, and it opened up 100,000 different doors. Shout out to this guy. I'm definitely going to give him a shout out. I don't remember his name. He's got a long username, but I'm going to shout him out in my video when I make a video on this. But anyway, how does that connect to today? Well, Japan, one of the main characters in the show is Japanese, Nakamura, okay? In the show, his name is Hiro Nakamura. Think of Hiroshima. It's spelled the same way, Hiro. In the last episode of the season 1, it's an exploding bomb. A nuclear explosion happens in New York. Well, now connecting this to the World Cup, okay, so we just had all the World Cup stuff, and there was an earthquake on Messi's birthday in Venezuela, right? But the first game by Japan in the World Cup this year was Japan and Netherlands. And funny, I'm going back to this Netherlands stuff again. 1 second, guys. I need to plug my computer in. Hold on.
No worries.
All right, so Netherlands, I believe, is why did Japan play the Netherlands in the first game? Well, the sun rises from the underworld, right? The Netherlands, the rising sun, and the netherworld, right? The rising sun. But what's more important about this connection to what we're talking about now is that the game was on Trump's birthday, his 80th birthday. So it was on Trump's beginning of his 81st year of life. Think about that. Horus. And Japan tied 2-2. Well, so the first goal in the World Cup scored for Japan was by a guy named Kito Nakamura.
Wow.
And this is the clincher. Guess when his birthday is, this guy who scored the first Japan goal. Guess when his birthday is. today.
Oh man,
The day of the earthquake.
holy smokes.
So the guy who scored the first Japanese goal in the World Cup this year on Donald Trump's birthday, his Horus birthday, has the birthday of the earthquake in Japan, where the Aeon Mall explodes in the land of the rising sun, which has 81 date numerology, which is Horus. And again, that was Trump's beginning of his 81st year of life. And so think about that. It's also Harry Kane's birthday. That's interesting to think about as well. It's his 33rd birthday. But Kyoto Nakamura. And what's crazy is connecting this to the show I've been decoding all the last weeks. The main character of the show is Hiro Nakamura, the time traveler. But in the show, his father, look at this. In the show, if you just click on list of Hiro's characters, see, here's Hiro Nakamura, played by Masi Oka. Now, but his father in the show, guess what his father's name is in the show? If I can find this guy here, where is he? We just do a search here. Just got to find the right. Maybe that's not the way to do it. Hold on. Apparently, they're not going to show it. Oh, here he is. So look at this. In the show, the guy who plays the father of Hiro Nakamura is named Kato Nakamura. So he has almost the exact same name as this Japanese player whose birthday is today. It's only one letter off. See how the Japanese player whose birthday is today for Japan, his name is Kito Nakamura?
Yeah.
Well, the father of the guy in the show is Kato Nakamura, just one letter off, the A and the E. The A and the E, guys, the
A and
Aeon.
the Aeon. Yeah,
oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
I was thinking about that. I was thinking about how like Aeon is pretty much like all of the vowels, AE, except for I, right? And U.
Right.
I and U.
Wow. I mean, that can't be a coincidence either, man. I mean, the only two the letters that are different are the A and the E, which is the beginning of the so I know this show is a huge, and I'll prove it again more in my next video I do on this, but this show is a huge clue for everything going on right now. And at first I thought I was crazy just looking at a show that's 20 years old. And but look at when the show ended on the Super Bowl date this year.
Oh yeah.
And
Did you touch at all? Sorry, just random question with the logo or the front cover of this show, Heroes. You notice that like the ring is over the R and the O. I was just curious if, or okay, at least one of the images that you pulled up.
yeah, so this
Yeah,
one,
that one. Yeah. I was just curious if you had anything on that.
So R and O is equals 33.
Mm-hmm.
RO is 18 plus 15, which is 33. That's something one of my subscribers mentioned. And of course, I can just show my 33 slide. I have that written out. So yeah, RO is 33. This show takes place in Odessa, Texas, which equals 33, and the same cipher as Eclipse. They get powers from their eclipse. The eclipse actually initiates their powers, which equals 33. One of the episodes is called Heroes, but it's a play on word of the main character's name. Instead of spelling it that way, it's spelled this way, which is 33. The first episode is called Genesis, which is 33. The villain's name is Sylar, which is 33. So that was, the RO is the 33 inside of the eclipse.
Right.
So it's a huge number with the eclipse. And but just to reiterate, how this connects back to Egypt, because my whole video, look, Horus, Egypt, right? My whole video was connecting this show to the upcoming eclipse over Egypt. And you guys might think, oh, maybe I have a bit of a bias because this is the big eclipse I've been talking about. And of course, you're going to try to connect it to this eclipse. But it seems undeniable that this is actually, when you look at the numbers behind it, and I don't know if I'm going to go through all the slides because that might, but I'll just quickly show. Like, again, I've already shown this many times, but the eclipse code is very connected to the Jesuits. That's why I believe the Jesuits are so important, because of their founding date and how it's correlated with the eclipse numbers. The Jesuits were founded 3 days before an eclipse from Saros 136. Now, 177 is how many days is in between, normally how many days is in between consecutive eclipses, 177 days. So 177 is the 136 composite. Well, the Jesuit order equals 177 and the Jesuits equals 136. And notice that eclipse ritual equals the Jesuit order. So I believe that this is the origin of the Jesuits' whole numbers. Their whole thing is about the sun and moon and the eclipses, which is why they were founded 3 days before the eclipse from 136. And remember, the Egyptian eclipse next year is from that same family. It's going to be the 38th eclipse in that family of Saros 136 eclipses. And, well, what's the odds that Heroes started in moon lunation 1036? Again, they started counting the new moons in 1923. So this was the 1036th new moon since that began. So what's the odds the show started in 1036 lunation, which is like 136? It lasted for a span of 177 weeks. It was 176 weeks, but that means it was the start of the 177th week. And it ended in lunation 1077. I mean, that just proves my point that these two numbers are the eclipse code. And Derek's obviously covered other very important numbers, like the 1331 is the ultimate eclipse number, which I'm going to talk about in my next video, which is a huge part of this. But these numbers, in my opinion, something I've discovered. I've never seen anyone else talk about this. These two numbers are so important when it comes to eclipses. And that's why the Jesuits equals 136, the Jesuit order 177. And remember, I proved this also with why Donald Trump is who he is, because if you go to the Aleister Crowley cipher, you're going to see that Donald Trump the moon child, right, born on an eclipse, equals 136. But if you add his name, John, it's 177. What are the odds of that? So the moon child born on an eclipse has both those numbers. Whether if you add his middle name or you take it away, you get those two numbers. Once again, pointing, and no, remember, 177 is the 136 composite. So that, why did this show last that amount of time? Why did it come in these lunations? But remember, I said it lasted 176 weeks, which is it means it ended on the start of its 177th week. Again, this guy, the main character, his name equals 176. There can also be 176 days between eclipses, but most of the time it's 177. But that just goes back to the rule of Colel, where you can add or subtract one. But yeah. And she died on, Bonnie Tyler died on that same day. She did the song Total Eclipse and Holding Out for a Hero. And then what's the odds that from the show's first episode to the next eclipse, that means the first eclipse after the show started, it was over India. And one of the main characters, the geneticist in the show is Indian. And he's the one who's responsible for trying to figure out why this genetic mutation, this DNA alteration happened. Well, what's the odds from the first episode to the first eclipse after the show started is 176 days, which means, and his name in the show, Mahinda Suresh, equals 176. Again, this connects back to the 177 really, because it's, that's, 176 or 177 days. Okay. But real quickly on the 136, I'm not going to go through all this, but the main theme of the whole first season is basically based off of Hiro Nakamura's saying that in order to save the world, you need to save the cheerleader save the world. Well, that equals 136. What's the odds? And notice that his name in capitals equals 136, his real name. And he was born 136 days before the next eclipse after his birth. How about that? And he's born 136 days before the very next eclipse after his birth, but the very next total solar eclipse after his birth just so happened to be 666 days later. Of course, we are currently 666 years since the first eclipse from Saros 136. Donald Trump's birthday this year was the 666th anniversary of the first eclipse from Saros 136 family. Remember, the Egypt eclipse next year is from that same family. And again, Heroes started 3 days after the start of Brown Lunation 1036. Like the Jesuits were founded 3 days before Lunation 1036 or Saros 136. But then I looked at this episode. It's called 4 Months Later. It's the premiere episode of season 1. It's given production code number 201. And the reason this episode's important is because Hiro Nakamura time travels to Japan after saving the world in New York. He travels to Japan. But he goes back to the year 1671, where the samurai are fighting each other. And the first thing that happens in this first episode is an eclipse over Japan. They all look up and there's an eclipse. And from that episode airing to the very next eclipse, 136 days. Which is the same amount of days from Masaoka, the actor who plays the character Hiro Nakamura, from his birth to the next eclipse, 136 days. You see how they're patterning it? It's clear that's how they're patterning it. How can you even deny that? Like, the whole main theme of this first episode is Hiro Nakamura and the eclipse. But what's crazy is, this is what really blew my mind, is if you go from this same episode to the 136 eclipse over Egypt next year, it's 1036 weeks exactly. So from the same episode, it was 136 weeks to the next eclipse. And from this very big eclipse next year, it was 1036 weeks. And remember, Heroes aired in Lunation 1036. That's when it began airing. And another proof of this is the last eclipse from Saros 136 actually happened during the show's airing. And look at this. From that eclipse on July 22nd, 2009, it was the 37th eclipse from Saros 136 to the last episode of the entire series was 201 days. Eclipse Ritual 201, the Jesuit Order 201. It was also 202 days, which is the gematria of total solar eclipse. And the last episode is called what? Brave New World. What is that? The Aeon. Think about it. The Brave New World is the new Aeon. So that's just the gist. The only reason I went back over that is because, like, it was just relevant to everything that we just discovered today. Today's earthquake in Japan, on the birthday of the soccer player Nakamura, and the Empire State Building stuff. Again, today's the 81st anniversary of the B-21 bomb, the B-25, 1945 Empire State Building B-25 crash. So this is just mind-blowing to me. 81 date numerology, 81 years later, earthquake in Japan. When did this happen? 1945. What else happened in 1945? The bombings of Japan. In fact, the bombings of Japan happened just days after this. So, and again, the guy in the show is named Hiro, which is the half of the word Hiroshima. The last episode of season 1 is called How to Stop the Exploding Man. One of the episodes in the series is called Now I'm Become Death. Hold on, find it here. List of Heroes episodes. One of the episodes called, I think it's in the last season. Maybe not. Oh yeah, right here. I Am Become Death. And what is that a reference to? The 1945 Trinity test, where Oppenheimer said, "Now I've become death, the destroyer of worlds," after he set off the Trinity test. So yeah, that's the 38th episode, the 38th eclipse. Wow, the 38th eclipse from Sorrows 136 is next year over Egypt. So that's interesting. And I've already, I think, proven that.
From what it's worth, Cody, that date you're talking about, that 38th song, right?
Yeah.
I Am Become Death. Is that what that said?
Yeah.
Yeah, October 6th. That's also Bronny's birthday.
Right.
The son.
Exactly. Wow.
The son of the king. You know what I mean?
Right. Wow. And that's also the date of, it's a prophecy number. 106 is prophecy. Oh, wow. Okay. So from Trump's son's birth to LeBron James' son is 201 days.
Huh. Oh, I just thought of too is, don't forget Bronny went to USC, the Trojan horse, and we just had the Odyssey come out.
That's right.
Something to think about.
Marcus Allen, who I brought up, the running back, because Trump referenced a running back at the shooting, and the shooter was named Allen. He said Allen should be a running back in the NFL. Marcus Allen also went to USC. The USC. Same as O.J. Simpson.
Right.
It's funny. I was looking into the Bills this week because I think they really have, I don't know. I just feel like the Bills are overdue to make it to the Super Bowl. That's just my feeling. I just feel like Josh Allen has to get to at least one, right?
Yeah, I've been seeing the number 17. So this Japanese soccer player that you're talking about, his jersey number 17. That's Josh Allen's number 17. But 17 was actually a big number in the World Cup. It was Nico Williams, and you talked about Nico Williams, and we've been talking about the name Williams on William Shatner, and how you're about Prince William, and how William is going to be a factor. And Nico Williams, he actually scored the winner in the European Championship for Spain. But this time he had the assist, and he actually scored another goal, which is disallowed. But he wears 17 as well. When I think of Williams in American sports, was the last name Williams and 17? Doug Williams. He's the first black quarterback to win a Super Bowl.
He was in the background scene in Donnie Darko, right? In
Donnie Darko, absolutely. They're watching because it takes place. I mean, it's not filmed there, but it's supposed to take place in Virginia.
Right.
So at the time they called the Redskins. That was their team, and that was what they were watching. It was the year they won the Super Bowl. So they won the Super Bowl in January of that year. It was 88 or something. Yeah, it was 88, right? It took place in 1988. So the Redskins under Doug Williams, number 17, won the Super Bowl in January. So Donnie Darko, the plot takes place in the days starting on October 2nd, birthday of Jack Parsons.
Right.
Start October 2nd, then goes 28 days, and then there's that loop. So this was the new season, and Doug Williams didn't play well that season. He just won that Super Bowl, and they're actually saying, they showed Doug Williams, and they're saying we need to bring in his backup, who's Mark Rippon. Well, Mark Rippon, the reason they referenced Mark Rippon is because Mark Rippon's birthday is October 2nd, which is when the whole plot of Donnie Darko starts. It starts on October 2nd. Mark Rippon's birthday is October 2nd. Then Mark Rippon will go on to win Super Bowl 26 as the quarterback for the Redskins. So I was just bringing it up because the 19 and the 17 and the Williams, Doug Williams, 17, Nico Williams for Spain, number 17, and this Japanese soccer player they'd be focusing on. He was 17, and I just alluded to an earlier part of my decode, Josh Allen, because he has the name of, Oz Perlman. He's connected with football. He's connected with the Buffalo Bills. Donald Trump made the football connection. So football's connected. So yeah, the name Allen, number 17 is Josh Allen. So yeah, I've been seeing some 17s.
Yeah, and like the Bills just, I don't know. Again, this is a very early just look at things, but like I was just looking at the Super Bowl. I was thinking about how the Bills, the Bills have basically the gematria of, if you just, this is basically purely gematria stuff, but sometimes that purely gematria stuff can kind of play out, but not always, right? But Bills equals love. And shout out to you, AJ, for all of your work on this. But I mean, the Super Bowl is on Valentine's Day. And so Buffalo equals 63. But check out the date numerology of the Super Bowl: 63, 18. So the two main numerologies of the Super Bowl is actually the three numerology. So there's three different ways you can do date numerology. 63 is one of them, 27 is another, and 18. Well, what's these numbers? 63, 27, and then Bills has the 18, like love.
Right.
So like it's like a grand slam for the numerology of Bills, Love, and Buffalo all have this grand slam date numerology match. On top of that, it's the 45th day of the year. Well, what was I going to say about that? There's something. Can't remember now what I was going to say about that. There was a 45 that I had it in my memory, but I can't remember now what I was going to say about
maybe
that.
Venus. I don't know, because Venus, goddess of love. Venus is 45, maybe.
Venus. Well, Venus has the same
54.
numbers as Bills.
Oh, and love, yeah.
Venus has the 54.
Yeah, and the 18. So anyway, the point is, it's also going to be 69 days for Josh Allen's 96 days before Josh Allen's birthday. Josh Allen equals 96. Also,
shout out to researcher too, just pointing out 61st Super Bowl, 61 the 18th prime. Another love number.
Right. Yeah, that's what I forgot to mention too. That was in my mind before, but I forgot that. Yeah, 61 the 18th prime. You got Love 18. Bills 18.
You got Philadelphia, which equals 61, which is the city of brotherly love.
Yeah, that's a matchup I was thinking about myself, actually. Philadelphia and Buffalo. Again, this is just early looks at the Super Bowl, but just based off this, it's interesting. And also my feeling is, again, why is Josh Allen going to even? I mean, you just feel like he's due. Yeah, I just feel like he's due. Either him or Lamar Jackson. One of those two guys is due, man. One of those two guys got to make a Super Bowl at some point here. Mahomes, and just think about the AFC, how the AFC is just super annoying to me. The only two teams that ever make the Super Bowl in the AFC, it seems like, is either the Kansas City Chiefs or the Patriots. Just think about over the last 30 years how many times those two teams have made the Super Bowl in the AFC. It's a lot. So when are they going to give an opportunity to another AFC team?
Yeah, I'm not even thinking team specific when I say this, but I'll want to keep an eye on the Arizona Cardinals next year. And I just say that because, the state founded on Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And they just drafted Jeremiah Love.
Right.
So
another thing that Josh Allen has going for him is, that's interesting, is that he has the same birthday as FIFA. So if there is some sort of connection between this World Cup and the Bills and Josh Allen, also the Bills are opening up their new stadium this year. Don't forget that. So is that going to be a tribute? They get their new stadium and then they get to go to the Super Bowl. I don't know, but that's just my initial thought. I mean, my main reason for thinking that is just like I said, I think Josh Allen or Lamar Jackson is overdue. One of those two seems really overdue. Let's just put it that way.
One football player who, for me, I thought he was destined for a Super Bowl, and I don't know, the time is almost up for him, is Christian McCaffrey. I could have sworn he was a chosen one. I mean, he got to a Super Bowl. That's another player who I'm looking at. Like, it seems like I thought he had to have one, but he's a running back, and he's already by running back years, he's already like beyond.
He's on the back nine.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's another player I'm looking at. Like, I just thought that he looks like one of those guys who was supposed to be, you'd think would be destined. He just seemed kind of destined, but I don't know.
yeah, that's a good observation. I think that there's a lot of guys that are, but he is definitely one that, I mean, just with his name, Christian McCaffrey. I mean, but he's still in San Francisco, right?
Yeah, he's still there. He's been there all those years. I think he had an injury. Who knows if, they say he's injured, if he's really injured, but a couple of seasons ago, he missed almost the entire season, which actually, I mean, if it really was an injury, okay, injury can slow you down, but if he fully recovered, then it's almost like that really helps a running back. You could take a year off. It will kind of help him, in the last couple of years of his career. But he's still a feature back. He's still the star of that team. It's not the quarterback, it's him. He's still the star of that team. He's just someone I looked at. Like, you talk about Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen. I look at Christian McCaffrey that way, but the clock on a running back that's almost expired.
Yeah. I mean, it would be, San Francisco, but how many Super Bowls does San Francisco have in their history? Don't they have a lot? Don't they have like 6 or 5?
I'm not sure.
I think
the
it's
Niners.
6. Is it 6? Montana had 4. Steve Young had, how many did Steve Young had? 2?
I'm Googling it right now.
Okay.
Niners have 5 Super Bowls.
Okay. Interesting.
Okay. Steve Young had 1 then.
Yeah, I mean, if he's going to get it, I guess he's going to have to get it on the Niners then. So they would have to get their 6th.
Cody, I wanted to pivot really quick here. I know we were talking about the NFL for a second, but I wanted to share this with you and pick your brain on it for a second. Just sticking to the love themes. I'm sure you caught wind that Billy also picked up Caldwell Pope.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But got me thinking too about, once again, City of Brotherly Love. And then you have Kevin Hart, right? Mr. Kevin Hart. You had the roast of Kevin Hart. Shout out to Myron with all the Hart stuff he's talked about with Owen Hart, with the WWE. But Kevin Hart, he's born on 7/6 from Philly. It got me thinking about Kevin Love. It wouldn't surprise me if Kevin Love gets his way out of Utah and signs like a 1-year, 2-year minimum contract to go to Philly. Last winning a championship with LeBron. Where? For the heart of it all. You know what I mean?
Like, that would be
playing
just
alongside Kevin Love with Kevin Hart on the sidelines. You know what I'm saying?
That would just be another like in your face one if that happened, man.
Yeah. But there were some. The 45 was interesting that you brought that up, because when I started looking at some different just date durations and whatnot with Kevin Love, I saw 45 pop up a few times. But also the 114s with Kevin Love and LeBron are crazy. So it wouldn't shock me at all. That's my loose prediction that Kevin Love might have a roster spot with the Sixers next year.
Yeah, I mean, that would make a lot of sense. And it just all this love stuff going on in general. I mean, remember the World Cup they put that big
the
love
massive heart, right? Yeah, exactly.
So,
and in this year's Super Bowl, you had not Jeremiah Love. Who's the other Love player for Seattle that year? He had that interception, didn't he? Or he just scored? I think it was an interception.
I can't remember. Is it a guy named Love?
Yeah.
Or
was it? Wait, hold on. Seahawks. Yeah, Julian Love. That's what it was. Julian Love.
Oh, okay, yeah. Okay.
Julian Love had an interception in the Super Bowl this past year.
So there you go. I mean, there you go with the love themes just in everything,
It has not stopped.
I guess the obvious one then for a Super Bowl on Valentine's Day would be Jordan Love.
Would be Jordan Love, yep.
Yeah, that's almost too obvious, but yes, sometimes the obvious thing happens. But Yeah, it's a concern.
Yeah, I don't think you can rule out that either, right? The Jordan Love and the Packers.
Well, like it kind of goes back to just the World Cup, right? We were talking about, I mean, are they really going to have, Spain and Argentina in the final with this whole baby photo? Are they really going to do that? That seems so obvious, and yet here they go.
I think it was obvious for us, especially. I mean, I was on that a while ago on that picture in the Adidas ad of the kid in the goat. Like, that was a long time ago. I noticed that. I talked about the birthday and John the Baptist. So they're telling you about the 19. They're not going to tell you about the John the Baptist film. So I thought it was too obvious, but I guess I didn't look at it from the mainstream perspective, where I guess it wasn't obvious to the general public. It seemed obvious, I guess, to me or to us anyway.
Sure.
It almost seemed too obvious, but it wasn't, I guess, from the perspective of the general public. It wasn't. Certainly they're like, oh, look at this. Like, no one had heard of it.
Could I always get NFC, AFC kind of mixed up when it comes to like the bracket, but could we potentially see Jordan Love versus Jalen Hurts? No, because they would be on the same side of the bracket, right?
They're in the same.
Yeah.
I mean, we've already had that ritual a few times with that Love Hurts
That's
game
true.
between those teams. That first one was in Brazil, in the Corinthians arena or something. And remember, Corinthians 13 is the Love chapter. That was all connected with the song "Love Hurts." Derek did an amazing decode on that when that game happened. And,
It'd be interesting if you saw Jalen Hurts keep Jordan Love from going to the Super Bowl on Valentine's Day.
I mean, that would be
another Love Hurts ritual.
Yeah, if that happens, guys, you heard it here first. I mean, that
yeah.
I could see that playing out. That I could definitely see that happening. But like, yeah, it just makes me and just think about how don't you always see those shirts? Speaking of what I have up on the screen still here, you always see those shirts saying "I heart New York," right? Like, I know you've talked about this, but like, and all the New York stuff going on, and just with New York also winning the Super Bowl or the NBA championship on 136. By the way, there's that 136 code again, which is the 201 days left in the year. So that's how the 201 136 connect. 13/6 is the day leaving 201 days in the year. But yeah, I just kind of also wanted to real quickly get Rambo's thoughts on all this Empire State Building stuff, because I know he's been talking about it. I know he's talked about the Empire, and just another connection today with this building being 81 years old, or this incident over this building being 81 years old. And again, the next video I plan to release, I'm going to show how the eclipse code with the hero show connects to the day that the two people climbed the Empire State Building on July 1st, which was the same day that the hero show came back to Netflix. So I'm going to show that in my next decode, because I got to put it all together. But it just seems like this Empire State Building, and remember the actress that just died. I know Rambo mentioned her as well, but the actress, what was her name again? Kaylee Hoddle. Yeah. Her last movie was called The New Empire, right? The Godzilla and Kong, The New Empire. And so there just seems to be a lot of stuff going on with this Empire State Building. Oh my goodness, 136. Anyway, go ahead, Rambo. I just wanted to get your thoughts on all, especially now that you've seen this new thing today with the Empire State Building connection.
Yeah, so there's so much symbolism with the Empire State Building. I'm not sure how much that ties into this. So there's several things. One of the main metaphors of the Empire State Building is it symbolizes the human spine and Kundalini. And you have the chakra system that goes up the human spine from the bottom of the spine, the root chakra, and they correspond with the 7 colors of the rainbow. There's 7 chakras. And the top chakra, which is the highest level of consciousness, which is in the skull, talk about skull and bones, is the crown chakra, which is why you had King Kong. King is a reference to the crown. So this actually ties into a lot of the king symbolism and a king being replaced, which is what they had in the World Cup. The previous king is Lionel Messi being replaced by the new king. FIFA themselves actually used a phrase that I've been using for the last 2 years. The king is dead. I talked about the song Viva La Vida by Coldplay, which they say is about the French Revolution when the French aristocracy, Louis the 16th, was replaced in the French Revolution. And of course, on the anniversary of Bastille Day, you had France playing in the World Cup. So that theme of the king losing their crown, and you pointed out, KODI, how they had the total number of players in the FIFA World Cup, and that total sums to the Latin gematria cipher for the Tower. What does the Tower tarot card depict? Royalty, a king losing their crown, falling out of the tower. So that's the overarching ritual theme. It does tie into the 7 chakras because the Empire State Building is actually on 33rd Street. It's actually the address on, it takes up a whole block, but on the 33rd Street section, the address is 7 33rd Street. Why 7? It's the 7 chakras. The human spine has 33 vertebrae. That's why the lady who climbed the tower, her name is Angelina Nicolau, was 33 years old at the time of climbing the tower. And her boyfriend who proposed to her on the antenna of the Empire State Building, actually, Angelina Nicolau, her dad came out and said, these two are already married. He tried to tell the world like that. It was a whole ritual, the whole engagement thing. There's another aspect, which is another, it's kind of off topic, but that was a Saturn ring ritual. That's what that was. Her dad says they're already married, so you don't need to be engaged. That was a ring ritual. Even there are people who worked in the Empire State Building who said there's no way you can get up there without, there's a card you have to scan, and that'll open the hatch. There's absolutely no way a non-authorized person can get up there. It's impossible. It means they were allowed to get up there. But yeah, that was a major ritual. Yeah, and it's related to, so it's the lovers. The lovers is a metaphor. It's the lovers tarot card. It represents Gemini, but it also represents the left and right hemispheres of the human brain. So the left hemisphere is the male hemisphere, has to do with memory, like memorizing and concrete, like math, things that are more concrete. And the right side of the brain is more creativity and abstract thinking. That's the female part. That's what the metaphor of the twins is, but that's the brain, which is on top of the spine. So that's the metaphor there. It's the 7 chakras going up the 33 vertebrae spine up to the twins. We have the pineal. And on the top of that, the 7th chakra is the crown chakra. That's why you have King Kong. And so that's what his name was, Ivan Berkus. That's the name of the male who proposed to her. He actually represents King Kong because I showed in Gematria. Well, his birthday is the 11th of May, 115. Look at the Gematria of Empire State Building. Ivan Berkus. Beeo. Yeah. That's 115. Look up his birthday. The birthday of Ivan Berkus. Spelled like beer and then Kus. His birthday 11th May.
Yeah.
That's 115. Look up gorilla in Gematria.
Whoops, hold on. Gorilla.
Yeah, so he represents King Kong.
It's funny that gorilla equals Lucifer too.
Yeah,
Gorilla's
Lucifer,
a perfect match to Lucifer.
yeah, and this is why Lucifer ties in, because the term Lucifer in Latin is light carrier, Lucifer. That's a light carrier, and they talk about Lucifer falling. Lucifer is the sun. It's the fall of the sun. at sunset and at dawn. So that's what Lucifer, when the light bearer falls, that's what it is. So that's a metaphor for the sun, the king, falling, which is the image on the tower, which is the image of Lucifer, the fallen angel. What is the name of the female climb the tower? Angela, angel. Fall, that's a reference to the fallen angels. Jacob's ladder, where the angels go up and down the ladder. The spine is Jacob's ladder. So that's what the a lot of what the metaphors for the empire. Again, also King Kong was released in the year 33 as well for the spine thing. And where does King Kong originate? They actually kidnap him. His home is Skull Island. Yeah. Why is it Skull Island? Because the king, the crown chakra, is in the skull. It's all in the.
Yeah, that's crazy.
It's also about, overall, it's about a king is somebody who is sovereign. So human beings are supposed to be sovereign, but in this world, sovereign means, I mean, okay, in this world, maybe you end up being enslaved or imprisoned or just restricted in some way, but you have to maintain your sovereignty and your free will and pretty much don't sell out to the matrix. It's about maintaining so a sovereign, a king or a queen, which they use the term sovereign, is somebody who they at least maintain their own convictions and their own free will. And that's the metaphor of maintaining your crown. I mean, in this world, doesn't mean you're going to be treated like a king. It'll be the complete opposite. You may be in the worst dire circumstances, but you have to maintain, is the broader picture, be true to yourself and maintain your sovereignty. That's what a true sovereign is. That's another moral to some of these stories. I also go more into the empire thing where it's actually a reference to the original empire, because there's no clear explanation as to why New York State is called the Empire State. And I say it goes back to the Sumerian Empire originally. So yeah, that's a lot of what I talked about in my decodes. I did several decodes on the Empire State building.
Yeah, and I just feel like even though like today nothing actually happened to the Empire State Building, today being the 81st anniversary and of that crash, it's like, you think about it, a crash into the tower, kind of like the tower card, you know. You could kind of symbolically look at it like the tower card, that something's crashing into it, and it's, you know, and today just happens to be the 81st anniversary, and I had forgotten this, but tower equals 81. So, and this actually ties into what we were talking about with everything else. And notice how Venus equals tower. So kind of like maybe symbolism of like love is the collapse of egoic, or like the love collapses the pride, and instead of being prideful and egoic, you know, you lean into love, as AJ would say, or agape love, or and yeah. kind of how they climbed the tower, because they were in love, right? And the love is what conquered the tower, right? So yeah, and just think about it. I always say this, well, I don't say it, but just symbolically, the tower is the phallus, right? And what collapses the phallus? You know, what puts an end to the rise of the phallus? It's the woman. The woman's, you know what I mean. So that symbolism is always there of the woman, the collapse of the tower is kind of has to do with love, and then Venus is, of course, the feminine aspect, and just Venus having the same gematria as tower and love, right? So, and also something I noticed, to go once again go with the tower, with this equaling 136, you know, that's the 16th triangular number, which is the tower. And again, even with my heroes decode, you know, Spain was the only team to win a World Cup on a solar eclipse in 2010, which was 16 years ago, which is why we had all this 16 stuff in the tower, and the Spain won 16 years later in New York, where the towers went down. And they, you know, what was crazy is this Heroes show that I was decoding. Another reason they released it this month was because it does connect to Spain. You know, Heroes, the show ended just on February 8th, 2010. And that was, you know, just days or just months before Spain won their first World Cup on a solar eclipse. I don't remember how many days it was now. Let me just check that real fast. But another thing I wanted to mention too real fast is not only does today have 81 numerology like Tower, but it's the 209th day of the year. And that's the gematria of Empire State Building. So, I mean, that just more proves that even though technically you might say that it's not seeming to be irrelevant, but today I'm pretty sure this is probably pointing to something that's going to happen eventually later with this 81-year anniversary of this. And just all the empires.
I'll tell you this, I'll certainly be looking at January 22nd of next year's NBA schedule once that comes out. January 22nd in the 81st season of the NBA.
Yeah, that's we need to see how many days that would be after Pat Riley's birthday, because that's the date that aligns with all of this, because that's the day the what was it, the Aeon of Horus thing and Pat Riley's 81st birthday. But yeah, I just wanted to look real quickly to see. So yeah, it was 153 days between the 17th prime, or a triangular number. Something I found interesting about the number 153 too is if you look at the number properties on my calculator here, 153 is the 9th hexagonal number and the 11th narcissistic number. I have no idea what narcissistic number really means.
What, narcissistic? I've never heard that in my life.
There's all these really weird numbers, and
what is that?
I've already proven that they used this. What was it? The number I did a whole decode about it, about those two lovers who climbed the thing, and how it was connected to. What was it? What was that number called? It was it's the numbers that keep coming up in all my research too. It's the number 140 and the number 195. They're engaged numbers. I showed that on here. Let me just hold on. 140 is the 195th. Oh, wait. 195 is betrothed to 140. Yeah, so they're the betrothed numbers. And it's a real thing. You can look it up, betrothed numbers. And, you know, ever since I did that video about these two lovers, and I already showed, you guys would have to go back and find that video where I showed that, but that these two numbers were actually manifesting together in that ritual with those two lovers who got betrothed on the Empire State Building. It was connected with Messi and the movie they released on Netflix, which again, that makes me think the Heroes on Netflix came out the same day they climbed, and they actually have a show on Netflix, these two. So it's clear that it's tied, but yeah, these betrothed numbers, and apparently there's something called a narcissistic number.
They're saying that it's also known as an Armstrong number. Is a narcissistic number, and I'm still trying to understand. Like, the example it gives is the 153, but I'm still trying to wrap my head around it. It's saying it's a number that equals the sum of its own digits when each digit is raised to the power of the total number of digits. So in the example of 153, it just shows 1 cubed plus 5 cubed plus 3 cubed equals 153.
Oh, wow. Okay. See, that makes sense. That's interesting. That's really interesting, because think about how Rambo talks about all the time about how Skull and Bones is kind of the narcissistic thing. It's missing the love, the Trinity. This whole thing is about raising the numbers to the power of the Trinity. Think about it. 3, raising to the power of 3. Takes the 3 for the Trinity. You take away the heart, you get the Skull and Bones, which you could say would be the missing, it'd be the narcissistic number, right? So there might be something to that. I'm telling you guys, there's more than just prime numbers and composite numbers. All these numbers have some sort of place.
Yeah, so it's not just square. squared or cubed. It could be, you could raise it to the fourth power or fifth power. So it could be,
okay.
could be third.
Yeah.
Like they have an example here where it's raised to the fourth power, and so it's not only 3. It's
Oh, okay.
yeah, it could be fourth power. Or
Yeah,
fifth,
so like 1634 is another example, because if you take 1 to the power of 4 plus 6 to the power of 4 plus 3 to the power of 4 plus 4 to the power of 4, you're going to get 1634. Takes you back to the sum. You know what I mean?
Right.
It kind of reminds me of like a triangular number. Like when you add it all up,
Yeah.
kind of thing, it brings you back to the original number.
So my point, I guess my original point was that the number 153 is a very powerful number. It's not only the 17th triangular number,
Mhm.
but it's also the 9th hexagonal and the 11th narcissistic. So 153 has kind of a 9/11 connection, you know.
Well, I was
two
going
of
to say
its-
that's just what's so creepy about me specifically, because that's my birthday, 15/3, and my 9th
Yeah.
birthday was 911 days before 9/11 when I was 11.
Yeah, that's crazy.
You know what I mean? So now you're
Yeah.
showing me these hexagonal narcissistic numbers, and it's 9 and 11 with the number that reflects my birthday.
Right.
That's so bizarre. Wow.
And yeah, so that measurement I made was from the Heroes show ending, called Brave New World,
Mm-hmm.
to the Spain winning the World Cup, 153 days. So, and again, 16 years later, Heroes comes back on Netflix, and then Spain wins the World Cup again. And remember, Spain won the World Cup that year on a solar eclipse. So that's why it's significant, is that the only team to ever win the World Cup on a solar eclipse is Spain. And also they won on the...
And really quick, remember how I was talking about Cooper Cup at the beginning of this stream? And now he was talking about how about them apples, and he said it in Washington after Seattle won the Super Bowl. Shout out to whoever it was in the chat that pointed out too that America lost to the Red Devils in Seattle in the World Cup. See what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah.
just with all the serpentine connections and whatnot with temptation and, you know, Garden of Eden and all that.
Right.
Anyways.
But yeah, I think that's everything. Like I said, I'm going to be doing thank you to my subscriber. I can't thank my subscriber enough for this. I mean, I just, what he found with this hero show, which will go with everything we're talking about now, but just, and what's funny is it will focus mainly around this guy, this actor who just happens to be Iranian. So how does that tie into what's going on right now? I mean, perfectly. So he's actually the guy who saves New York. He's the guy that's elected on, his character in the show is elected in New York the day before he saves them from the explosion. I'm pretty sure that in this scene, he says that love wins also. Because, okay, so his brother is the guy that explodes, right? The exploding man, who's played by this guy, Milo Ventimiglia. So they're brothers in the show, and he's the one that has the power to absorb everyone else's power that he's around. So he ends up absorbing the power of this guy who has a nuclear reactor as his power, and he can't control it. So in order to save New York, his brother, who again is played by this other actor who's Iranian, he flies. His power is flying, so he flies in, and he picks up his brother. And
I think we just lost your screen unless you meant to take it off.
Oh shoot! I think I accidentally. It doesn't matter. I don't think I need to show it. I was just explaining that he flies his brother to the sky, where his brother explodes. So it's basically like a high altitude nuclear bomb, which is a high altitude EMP, which is interesting symbolism. Could have to do with the blackout stuff that I've been following for years that still doesn't happen. Who knows when that will happen? But yeah, just crazy how one subscriber. That's why I also tell you guys, don't hesitate to share anything and anywhere, because just one of your guys' comments can completely change everything can take 2 weeks of me laboring and somehow missing the main point, and one guy just comes in with a great comment and just opens up a whole world of things. So just wanted to really reiterate that the teamwork is very appreciated, and everyone who shares comments. And sometimes I miss your comments, but definitely don't hesitate to share. And I know Rambo and AJ would also agree with that.
Yeah, absolutely.
100%.
Absolutely, yeah.
Strength in numbers, pun intended, you know? Yeah, okay. Well, I mean, we are right at that 2.5 hour mark. Appreciate that, Cody. Rambo, before we kind of start landing the plane here, was there anything else? I wanted to make sure to pass things back off to you if there's anything else you wanted to wrap things up with your presentation tonight.
I mean, I covered most of what I wanted to cover, and I think it was great the way it tied into what Cody had seen, you know. Without even planning it, the decodes just meshed perfectly with the Aeon. I didn't know about the mall, but again, so that's what you look at. I look at individual rituals, which clearly that's what it is. But there's always an overarching ritual, an overarching one, and it's clear what it is there. Yeah, there are a few connections with the World Cup as well. They don't seem connected, but the White House Correspondents' Dinner and the World Cup, there were some connections with the first Correspondents' Dinner was held at 1919 Connecticut Avenue, with all the 19s going on, and just the fact that Oz Perlman, his birthday was the day of the final. So there's some connections there. So I think we covered a lot of that. There's always more. I mean, yeah, you can always go on and on, but I think we wrapped it up pretty well. And everything we individually came up with meshed as well as with a lot of the great contributions and observations from some of the viewers.
100%. Yeah, it got me thinking too about how like an eon also what somewhat symbolizes like a really long period of time, right? And Rambo, you were talking about how, you know, the sun, the cycle, and, you know, the child, you know, represents there's a big time theme connected with when we were talking about Bieber and the baby and you know, and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, as we close things out, Rambo, please, for anybody who may not be familiar with you or your work, just remind the viewers where they can find you and support you.
Yeah, patreon.com/thetruthcodes. And thanks again for promoting my work. One tier, $5, or you can join for free. $5 helps me a lot more. But there's Instagram.com/thetruth. Instagram.com/thetruthcodes as well is where I can be found.
Awesome. We appreciate you, Rambo, as always. And Cody, please remind the folks where they can find you and support you. Cody, I see you in the chat. Can you hear me?
Oh, shoot. Yeah, I was talking, but I was muted. Sorry.
No, you're good. You're good.
Yeah. So, yeah, thank you guys once again. Much love to everyone. I just typed that in the chat. I appreciate everyone. And thank you to Rambo and AJ for being here and sharing all of the great stuff today. If you guys want to find me, Decoding with Cody on YouTube, buymeacoffee.com/decoding with Cody is the support link. And yeah, you guys can also find me on Instagram, where I'm not active really at all. Also on X, I'm also under Decoding with Cody. So, but yeah, thank you guys so much for everything. And it was a great show. Like Rambo said, I didn't expect it to one of those streams where everything kind of went together really well and didn't even plan it. So appreciate everyone.
Yeah, that Aeon connection was wild, man. Yeah, good things as always, Cody. Really appreciate what you do for the show. Knowing how difficult it is, the challenge is just, you know, getting up at the time that you need to join us. So it means a lot, man. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem.
And yeah, final closeout. My name's AJ, Balll Don't Lie, 3 L's in Ball. You guys can find all of my work on YouTube where we're streaming, as well as Instagram, Balll Don't Lie, 3 L's in Ball. Send me an email, you guys, wordplay book, 3 O's in book @gmail.com if you guys ever want to chat. Also got the Patreon link in the description. But final thank you and shout out to everybody in the chat. Much love always. You guys have been fantastic, like Cody and Rambo attested to. You know, you guys really help make the work that much better. And it's always amazing to see how, in KODI's example, you guys, you know, you could be onto something really fruitful, and then all it takes is that one extra little seed or that one extra little thing that all of a sudden opens up all these different doors. So I'm really excited to see what you had to share on that one, KODI. Yeah, thank you again to everybody. If you guys haven't done so, please make sure to hit the like and the subscribe on the way out, and the share where you guys see fit. We really appreciate the help. And without further ado, we'll see you guys on the next one. Take care of yourselves. Peace.
Take care.
See everyone.
Extraterrestrial stadium, it really just be the Mediterranean, Transylvania.
The uranium, cranium, aliens popping up like circadians. Got me spontaneously training in a palladium gymnasium. Ultimate battle in the extraterrestrial stadium. It really just be the Mediterranean, Transylvanians.